Yes, yes.
Blog Talk Radio.
Yes, yes. Reb Tov. Good evening, good evening. This is Yadom. This is Rastafari, LOJ, Line of Judah Society here for the Tuesday. Testify Tuesday, the third day of the Shabua. Here in this Shabua means like weak. They call it weak, quote. We like to call it the strong Rastafari way, right there. Here for this sabbatical strong, here for this 7 days leading up to the Sabbath, we have Parashat, Torah portion, Chayei Sarah, Chayei, the life of Sarah. Actually, in the Hebrew, it's like the lives of Sarah. It's interesting in the Hebrew, Chaim. You know, when some say L'chaim, giving a toast or, you know, like a cheers. Some people say cheers. Hebraically, that can be said as L'chaim, Le for of Chaim, right, for lives. It's interesting right there. We're going to reason on that as well. Not just the life. It's translated in the English as life of, you know, in the tree of life. But in Hebrew, it brings out the sense of lives, right? Chaim, the yin, the yod meme at the end right there. At least Hebraically implies at least two or more. And it's interesting because in everyone's life, there are lives, you know, like at this stage of my life or, at that point, you know, so it's like lives within the life. So it's one life, but it's many lives. You get it? Anyway, right here for the Chayei Sarah, we have the Psalm, today's daily Psalm 133, you know, behold how good. Behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren and sistren to dwell together in unity and unity. So here for the T to T, Testify Tuesday. St. Peter coming.
I'm going to testify. I'm going to testify what Jah has done for I. Rastafari, Holy Emmanuel, Jah Marcus, oh yes, Rasta. I come to defend the rights of the poor. For the oppression of the poor have I arising. I come to defend the rights of the poor. For the oppression of the poor have I arised. Listen! I come to judge all your judges. Behold, I come to teach all teachers. Dismantling all of their false leaders. Liberating all Africans. That's right, the holy mission. Liberating all Africans. That is Rasta mission. So, tell them justice. This is judgment on Babylon. Rasta come to defend the rights of the poor. For the oppression of the poor have I arising. Rasta come to defend the rights of the poor. For the oppression of the poor have I arised. Listen, they tried to kill the father, and they could not slay the son. They tried to destroy Mama Africa, the foundation of creation. Oh yes, the foundation of creation. Well, yeah. poor. For the oppression of the poor have I arise. Rasta comes to defend the rights of the poor. For the oppression of the poor have I arise. Listen! I come to judge all your judges. Behold, I come to teach all teachers. Conquering all of their false leaders. Liberating all Africans. That Shiloh holy only mission. Liberating all Africans. That is Rasta mission. So tell them this is judgment on Babylon. Where Rasta comes to defend the rights of the poor. For the oppression of the poor have I arise. I come to defend the rights of the poor.
Yes, Ras Shiloh right there with rights of the poor, which brings us to the evening psalm, the standing psalm, the evening psalm here for this third day. So here, Hebraically, according to Yahweh's Jehovah, the true good, the true God's order, right? Here we're at the third day of the Shavua, right? And here we have the standing psalm here for the third day, Psalm 82, Shema Yisrael.
Psalm 82.
Mizmor Pevet, Mizmor Le'asaf,
God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, the mighty, the mighty, the mighty, the mighty, the mighty.
Elohim Nitzav Ba'adat El.
He judgeth among the gods, the gods, the gods, the gods, the gods, the gods.
Bekerev Elohim Yishpot.
How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations, 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 inherit all nations.
So Psalm 82 is themed, one of the themes of Psalm 82, standing psalm here for the third day, as chanted in the temple, even the temple of Jerusalem, and by Torah observant, Yehudim, and faithful. Right here, evening psalm for the third day. Psalm 82 has a theme of corrupt judges arraigned. And we can hear that in the word sound right there. You know, judge the rights of the poor, the rights, the privileges, also responsibility, but also the rights of the rich. Rich, according to HaTorah, according to Yahweh's direction and instruction, they also have rights, you know, duties, privileges, and responsibilities. It's to render just judgment, righteous judgment. There's a phrase in HaTorah. It says, Sedek terdof. Right? Justice, thou shalt follow. Justice, thou shalt pursue. Right? In other words, justice, what is right. Right. And see, Psalm 82 is very, very interesting. This is not the main theme, but just a kind of inspiration here on the podcast right here, because we go over the evening Psalms, and then in studying the evening Psalms and seeing the application and the themes and what it reminds I of, you know, corrupt judges arraigned. And that's the Psalm there where it says, I said, ye are gods. He said, we're gods. Was it talking to you? Right? I said, yeah, gods, all of you are children of the Most High. It's an Israelite psalm, and speaking in context of Torah and covenant proper covenant observation, you know, Israel as a whole, but in particular the Shoftim, the judges, right? The judges are called collectively Elohim, right? Because Elohim is a Afro-Semitic title that, according to the scripts, according to Torah, according to the way truth and life applies to Yahweh, he who be, who he be, Yahweh Echad, as creator, and also to Yahweh Eloheinu as judge. And it's also ascribed to the men, right, to the Israelites, the men who are his agents, right, where it says judges, right, it says judges and officers thou shalt make in all thy gates. You know, so it's an interesting psalm, and it really reminds us of just judgment, right, of righteous judgment, right, righteousness, as Vaughn Benjamin, you know, has said and has taught us, you know, iron sharpen iron, give thanks, Ross Seymour, you know, right choiceness, the right choice, which is the righteousness is the right choice. But here, just once again to hear this dubwise evening song.
מזמור פ"ב, מזמור לאסף. אלוהים ניצב בעדת אל, בקרב אלוהים ישפוט. עד מתי תשפטו עוול, ופני רשעים יישאו סלע. שפטו דל ויתום, עני ורש הצליחו. פלטו דל ואביון, מיד רשעים הצילו. לא ידעו ולא יבינו, בחשיכה יתהלכו, ימותו כל מוסדי ארץ. אני אמרתי אלוהים אתם, ובני עליון כולכם. אכן כאדם תמותון, וכאחת השרים תיפולו. קומה אלוהים, שפטה הארץ, כי אתה תנחל בכל הגויים.
Psalm 82.
מזמור פ"ב, מזמור לאסף.
God standeth in the congregation of the mighty.
אלוהים ניצב בעדת אל.
He judgeth among the gods, the gods, the gods, the gods, the gods, the gods.
בקרב אלוהים ישפוט.
How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. Inherit all nations, inherit all nations, inherit all nations, inherit all nations, inherit all nations.
So here, Mizmor Fe Beit, Mizmor Pe Bet. Here we have Psalm 82. Psalm 82, the evening psalm. As we mentioned, the theme is corrupt judges arraigned. Or in the Israelite and the Torah context, corrupt shoftim and shotarim arraigned. Corrupt judges and corrupt officers arraigned. Now, it's interesting because here we have, let's bring this up right here. Let's touch on these first words right here, connected with the evening song, which says, how long will y'all judge unjustly and respect the persons of the wicked, of the ratchet? Selah. It's a Selah. As we go through Psalm 82, just briefly here, the third day, the evening psalm for the third day, Psalm 82. It begins with Ha Elohim, the judge of judges, the heavenly judge, standing, taking up a position, right? Taking up a position for a solemn purpose. Now, it's interesting because it uses the word nitzab. And in the previous Torah reading and feeding for Wayera, where Yahweh appeared, right, to Abraham in the Elone Mamre, in the trees of Mamre, as the Shalosha Anashim, as the three men, trifecta, the Trinity, as these three mortal men. It says that they were nitzabim, they were standing, right? They were standing, nitzabim. And he uses the same word, nitzabim, here in Psalm 82, at the Aleph, at the first verse. And as we mentioned before, but here to mention again that the verb for standeth and standing is not the usual one, Hebraically denoting the opposite of sitting. In Hebrew, to say stand from the root sense is amad, right? And then we have the amida. What is the amida? The amida, Judaically, Hebraically, is like the standing prayer, right? And then we also have in Deuteronomy, in the Barim, Deuteronomy chapter 29, around about verse 9, Hebraically. I think it's maybe verse 10 in the KJV. There's a verse numbering off, but where it says, y'all stand, ye stand. Atem nitzabim, speaking to Yisrael. There we get the true sense and the idea of the verb natzab, stand. So it's not the usual one denoting the opposite of sitting. Nitzab from natzab, it conveys the idea of taking up a position, taking up a stance, a position, right, for a solemn purpose. Now, with Yisrael, in Deuteronomy chapter 29, around about verse 9, Hebraically, it's the Beta Israel, it's the Bnei Yisrael, it's the sons of Israel, right, taking that stand to ratify, to make righteous and put into effect, Ha-Brit, the covenant. Now, what's interesting there is that we have another covenant, right, that's being made there, as well as the covenant already that was made at Sinai. So we need to have a conversation on the covenants. What are the covenants within the scripture? The covenants given to Yisrael. It even specifically says that in the plains of Moab, the covenant in Deuteronomy, that this new generation, right, of Beta Israel, of the Bnei Yisrael, of Israelites are making, right, is different, right, or distinct, right, in addition to the covenant that was made with their forefathers at Sinai, where they came into that covenant to be a kingdom of the priesthood and to be a holy nation, a goy kadosh, a goy, a nation, a goy, singular goy, plural goyim, but they're not goyim, but they're to be a goy kadosh, a set apart nation. So here in the KJV, right, in the KJV, it reads different than what we have here, but we're going to read what we have here, where it says that God standeth, Elohim nitzab, ba'adat el, standeth in the congregation of El, right, of the Almighty. In the midst of the judges, the big Areb Elohim, or in the English translations as gods, or the proper Hebrew reading, Bek Areb Elohim Yishpot, Yishpot, Yishpot. Right? In the midst of the Elohim, referring to the judges of Yisrael, he, even he who he be, judges. So in Psalm 82, Mizmor Pei Beit, we have El, right, the Almighty, right, the all powerful, the Almighty, judging, right, the judges, the Elohim. In Exodus chapter 21, verse 6, also in Exodus chapter 22, verse 7, verse 8, and verse 27. In First Samuel chapter 2, verse 25, we find the word title Elohim, functional title Elohim, occurring in a judicial connection based on the principle that we have in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17, that the judgment is Elohim. So the men who administer justice are considered to be his agents. They exercise a Elohim-like function in respect of judgment. And as such, they have his name or his title, right, attached to them. So now the first thing that it tells us right there, we're just going to go over Psalm 82, just the opening part, just to the theme of justice and righteousness. Remember that to Father Abinu Abraham, right, it was imputed to him, his faith, his emunah, right, and that faith is what it means to be a Hebrew, was counted to him for tzedakah, was accounted to him for righteousness. Also, the word tzedakah, right, Hebraically to English, from the Hebrew to English, has a sense of charity, right? We interpret this as righteous, right, right choice, righteous giving. When we get to verses 2 to 4 of Psalm 82, this is a segue to what we have on the screen right there. We have Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. So the next section of Psalm 82, the opening section, El Ha-Shofet, right, the judge of judges, right, of the Shoftim. In verses 2 to 4, we have Ha'el, the Almighty, right, Ha'el, the Almighty, indictment. So we have an indictment in Psalm 82. So when we come to the third day, right, the regular chant, the evening psalm is Psalm 82, which has a theme of corrupt judges, right? The judges of Israel, the corrupt judges being arraigned, an arraignment, right? They are being indicted, right? Indicted, we could say I, being indicted, right? Because of what says partiality, right? Partiality, right? We say non-partial. Yes, I, Rastafari. So here it says, how long will ye judge unjustly and respect the persons of the wicked? Ad matai, to when? Ad matai, likes to say how long, to when? Ad matai, tisha pitu avel, ad matai tishpitu avel. How long will you judge avel, or ancient pointing awel, twistedness, unjustly, in a twisted sense of judgment. Ufene rishaim, right? Ufene rishaim, and respect, right, the persons of the wicked, the faces, ufene, and fene rishaim, Rishaim, the Rasha, the defiant, to say in translation, the wicked, the criminal, the guilty, the defiant. Ufane, Rishaim, Tisu. So to the faces and the faces, right, the faces of the ratchet, right? This is where it translates to the person. So here's what we're gonna have to do right here. Just hold that right there for one moment, so we can just compare and contrast the King James Version. Now, we do have some Q&As from the previous Torah reading and feeding to touch on, We'll touch on it just now, yeah, willing. But let's go right here to the evening psalm. So when the evening psalm comes through, you know, and we chant it, we're familiar with it, but the Medi always comes about, you know, like, well, why this song was chanted in the temple, even the temple of Jerusalem, and why the faithful Yehudi, Torah observant, still chant this, and why do we have even this psalm as the evening psalm according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews? Right? See the connection right there. So it's a psalm of Asaph. In the English, it says, God standeth, right, in the congregation of the mighty. The mighty right here is El, right? El, to say the Almighty, right here, to bring out this sense Hebraically in respect of Yahweh Eloheinu, the Almighty. But they translate it there just as the mighty, right? He, right? And it didn't say they, right? It says he, right? It says what? It says he, yishpot, or somebody say yishpat, right? Yishpot, right? He judges among the gods, amongst the Elohim, right? Now, in the context of this Hebraically, this we would regard as a somewhat of a dubious translation. More correctly, in the midst of the judges, based on the use of the title name Elohim from the Hebrew of Exodus chapter 21, verse 6, Exodus chapter 22, verses 7, verse 8, and verse 27, First Shemuel, First Samuel chapter 2, verse 25, where the title name, the Hebrew word Elohim, occurs and is used, right? Not the letter of the law, but according to the Spirit, in a judicial connection based on the principle from Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17, that the judgment is Elohim's, is Ha Elohim's. So the men, even the men, the Bnei Yisrael, who administer justice, what the Torah tells us to make judges and officers, shoftim with shotarim, in all of thy gates. So the men who administer justice are considered to be his agents. And because they exercise this Elohim-like function, this judgment-like function, as such, they have his title and his name, right, attached to them. So we get to verses right here. That was the first verse right there. Mizmor le'asaf, Elohim nitzab, ba'adat el. Dikareb Elohim yishpot. Here we get to verse 2. And this is what we want to zoom in. This is the connection with the Leviticus, right? The Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15, right? To put the psalm, right? So we can know what the Isis, the Mizmor, is for. Mizmor pei beit, Mizmor fei beit. Here it says, how long will ye, y'all, judge unjustly? Remember from the previous verse, he is judging they, right? How long will ye, y'all, judge unjustly? This is the word right here, the evel, pointed as in modern Hebrew, evel, avel, avla, also as olah, right? And olah, right? Here, the evel, ancient pointing awel, more modern Hebrew. Many speakers might say it as evel, right? Injustice, unrighteousness, wrong, right? That's the first entry. Then we have the 1A, violent deeds of injustice. So we can put into context when it says, how long will ye judge unjustly? What were they doing, right? Violent deeds of injustice, right? The B, 1B, injustice in the sense of injustice of speech, right? And in the general sense of injustice. This is based on the BDB translation. Here's what's interesting with this Strong's definition, right? So here we have the H5766, right? In nowadays Hebrew, it'll be brought out as Evel or Avel. Evel, Avel, Avla, Ola, right? Evel. Then we scroll down here to Strong's definition. Look what they have right there. they say from the age 5765, open parentheses, moral, close parentheses, evil. So we have Evel and Evil. Interesting. Evel, Evil. All right. Here it's brought out in translation after the colon and the hyphen. In the KJV translation, this very word is brought out in some areas as translated as iniquity, perverseness, unjust. All right. And see this today's, well, the evening psalm, Psalm 82, unjust, unjustly, unrighteousness, right? Unrighteously, right? Wicked, right? Or wickedness. So let's get to the root right here. H5765, Hebrew for Rastafari. Here we have aval, right? Nowadays Hebrew aval, ancient pointing awal, 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 modern aval, 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 awal, aval, awal. Here the BDB definition says, the first right entry says, to act wrongly. BDB brings this out right here, Brown's Drivers Briggs. All right, these are the 2 points of reference because they don't always absolutely agree, right? But they approach, the Hebrew from, a slightly different perspective, but then we can kind of narrow down, right? To compare and contrast. You can weight, the BDB with the Strongs right here. BDB says to act wrongfully, right? Or unjustly. But then it brings out, says deviate from. This is getting to the root sense, to deviate from. The PL, right, of the verb aval, right, it says to act wrongfully, right, the wrongfully. But here, the Strongs now give us the more shoresh, or the root sense, right, of the idea to distort. And notice the connection of this distorting is in a moral sense, morally. What do we say? I call chosen and faithful. Moral theocracy of His divine majesty. But this is opposite of that. It's a distortion, right? It's distorting. So here in the Hebrew, it says, Admatai tishpetu awel. Admatai tishpetu avel. Admatai, how long will ye judge, right? The Shaphat sense. Tishpetu, saying like you all, Tishpetu, Avel, all of y'all judge twistedly. You have twisted judgment, right? Shaphat, right? Shaphat, to judge, to govern, to vindicate, also contextually, to punish, but the general sense of to govern, right? To govern also in the context of to rule, right? To govern, to judge, right? Oh, let me bring that out again. Let's go down to the bottom right here, because this perhaps can bring home the point. Here we go, Strong's definition, right? A primitive root, a primitive shoresh. Shoresh is root in Hebrew, shoresh, right? To judge, that is to say, what do you mean by judge? Well, that is to say, to pronounce sentence. So what is judgment? Oh, you can't judge me? Okay, what do I mean? The person trying to judge me, what are they doing? Oh, they're pronouncing a sentence. Whether for, well, if somebody pronounces a sentence in favor of you, somebody's judging in favor of you, most people just think about just the human condition, the fallen human condition. Most of us would not be like, oh, you can't judge me if they're judging that you're right. Well, you're right. Oh, you can't judge me. But it's only if they say you're wrong, right? Only if they say you're wrong, well, many times people and we sometimes, many times will say you can't judge me. But here, the context of the shafat sense, the root sense of judge, is like to judge for or against, to pronounce a sentence, right? Pronounce a sentence, like the sense of pronouncing like a verdict, right? A verdict. By implication, the shafat, just zooming on the word for judge, right? Shafat, right? Then we have the judges, to say judges in the Hebrew, the shoftim, to say a judge, shofet. Remember when Abraham stood before Yahweh in Bereshit 18, right? In Genesis chapter 18, he said, will not the judge of all the earth judge rightly? Right? Ha-shofet, right? The judge. right? So to judge, Hebraically, is also to vindicate or punish. You see how vindicate and punish, bringing out the context of judge being to pronounce sentence. If you pronounce a sentence for someone, in favor of someone, what are you doing? What has been done? They're being vindicated. They're being made righteous in the Hebrew and in the true context of the language. They're being made righteous or innocent, righteous. Or if you pronounce a sentence against them, right, they are being rendered wicked or criminal or guilty, right? Now, the extension of this word is to govern, right? To govern, because those who rendered judgment, right, their judgments was a sense of governance. Remember that Israel was called, right, to be a kingdom, right, mamlaka, right, kohanim, right, of the kohanim, and to be a goy kadosh, be a set apart nation. Then we get right here where it says passive. Now there's in the Hebrew, right, there are the different tenses, right? We like to do a teaching on this where we show the menorah speaking about the lampstand, and the lampstand with the three branches on this side and the three branches on that side, and then the center shamesh, the center branch, or the seven, you could say the seven branches, right? So there is the active, right, the active sense of the verb, right, the active, like I, you are doing this, or one is doing this, or this is being done to one in that sense, or done on behalf of one. So here when it says passively, it's the passive sense of the verb. Right? All this is a part of the binyan, the binyanim. Now binyanim, it sounds like Benyamin. Benyamin. Benyamin, Ben, son, Yamin, of the Yamin, right hand. What we're speaking about here is the build. Hebraically, Hebrew for Rastafari, here's the build. Right? The build is the binyan. Right? Adding the im there makes it plural. The binyanim, the binyanim. Not to be confused with Ben Yamin. But here in the bill, right, passive of the shafat, right, is to litigate, right, to litigate, whether literally, right, or even in a figurative sense. You know, like our advocate. Like our advocate litigates for us. It says Moshiach is our advocate. We have an advocate with Elohim Ha'ab, even the Bain Elohim Hayim. Now, after the colon and the hyphen, you see what it says figuratively, close parentheses, the colon, the two dots, and the hyphen. All the rest of those words right there basically show us how this root Hebrew word has been rendered in translation in the King James Version of the Bible. So in some places, the root shafat is brought out in translation as avenge. In other places as condemn. In other places as contend. In other places as, you see, defend, right? The sense of execute. Execute what? Execute judgment. Execute the mishpat. So mishpat is judgment. Shafat is to judge. He judged. Also to be a judge or a judge, a shofet. So see why the vowels and the pointing matters. Mishpat is judgment. Shafat, to judge, or literally he judged. And shofet is a judge, right? And then it says needs, plead, reason, rule. When I saw that word needs, I said, where in the Bible does it have that phrase there? Then it just came to eye from the previous Torah reading and feeding. Remember, with Lot, right, and the two messengers, right, the two messengers, the Malakim, right, you know, Malakim. See, Malakim is kings. Malakim is angels, is messengers. But when the two messengers came to him, and then the men of Sodom, and he said, this fellow needs to be a judge. This fellow want to be a judge, right? So we're going to give him a lesson. make an example out of him. It was from that scene right there, because it was saying that Lot was trying to act like he's a judge and so forth and so on. But anyway, be that as it may, the second part of this verse right here, because the verse has two parts. First part, the A part, the first verse, the first phrase of the verse, how long will ye judge unjustly? The second phrase of the verse, right? The second part of the verse, and accept the persons of the wicked. And then the interlude, right? The interlude, no word sound, the selah for the diasama, the pause, the interlude, kind of like the medi moment, right? And accept the persons of the wicked. Now in the Hebrew it says, Ufene rishaima tisu, selah, tisu, selah. Now tisu, notice this right here, it comes from, this is the word accept. So we would read this verse to bring it out the sense, and respect the persons of the wicked. But here in the KJV, it says, and accept. Now, accept, respect, they kind of could rhyme, right? Accept, right? Respect, accept, right? But here is the root sense, the H5375, NASA. I'll say it again, and I'll say it again and again and again. As long as it's necessary to be said, and ones are receptive, hopefully, prayerfully, peradventure, Elohim give them repentance to the acknowledgement of the truth. Here we have NASA. Now, there's these fake false memes out there, though I think that some of them may have been sincere, but still sincerely wrong, where they say that NASA, right, from Hebrew, because it's related to the sound of the space agency NASA, right? NASA. They say NASA, but here in the Hebrew it's NASA, right? NASA means to lift, but there's these fake memes out there, right, that says, well, NASA means to deceive. As we mentioned before, in Genesis chapter 3 is where we have the word to deceive or beguile. It's the word beguile. When the woman said, right, that the Nahash had beguiled me. And look at the Hebrew. The Hebrew there is Nasha, had Nasha. So there's a difference in Hebrew between Nasa and Nasha. Now here, as you see the original right there on the screen, is spelled two different ways, right, in the Hebrew scriptures, right? One with the noon samek hey, and the other with the noon sin aleph, right? So one as NSH and the other as NSA, right? NSA. just the letters, the noon, the sin, and the aleph, right? But they both come down to this sense right here, to lift. NASA, to lift, to bear up, to sense of to carry, to take, to lift, to bear, to support, right? Also in the Hebrew, the third entry there brings out the sense of to take away, to carry off, or to forgive. One of the, not so much the names, but descriptor, attributional descriptor of Yahweh Eloheinu is as El Nosei, where Yahweh is called El, the Almighty, the God, the Almighty, Nosei, the lifter. But in translation as God, the forgiving God. In other words, who is Yahweh? Who is he who be who he be? Well, he is El Nosei. He is the forgiving God, or God the Nosei. Nosei means to lift, yes? But see, in the Hebrew context of this is brought out in translation as to forgive. Lifting that burden of the guiltiness, resting upon the consciousness right there. So here, right, when it says accept, right, accept the person of the wicked, right, as you see the translation. We just went into the word nasa, means to lift up. So you lift up the what? The persons. What are the persons? Now, this verse right here, I'm seeing this more clear right now, and to share this when we speak about the Hebrew Trinity. If you say, oh, no, it's not. No, there's the Hebrew Trinity, right? It's revealed in the previous Torah portion, Wayera, and Yahweh, Wayera, Yahweh, right? And he who be, who he be, right? Yahweh, Jehovah, right, appeared, was made visible, right, in the trees, the Elone Mamre, right? And it says in the next verse, Shalosh Anashim. So in that revelation of Yahweh, he who be, we be, what did Avinu Abraham, what did our father Abraham see? He saw three men or three mortal men. Now, often you hear, well, there's three persons, right? They say in the Trinity, they say there's three persons. Don't they say persons? But the question really is, what do they mean by persons? What is truly meant by persons? Right? When we think of persons, we think of people, we think of like men and people, you know what I'm saying? On that level of persons. And then you try to imagine, well, in the Trinity, there's three persons. But here's the proper word for persons in the Hebrew. It's this word right here, panim. Panim. Remember that close encounter of Yahweh, the Malach Yahweh, and Abinu Yaakov, Jacob wrestling, right? Jacob wrestling with the angel, the Malach of Yahweh, right? And then he named the place what? Peniel, right? Some say pineal, that's the gland, but Peniel, Panael, Peniel, right? And he said that I have seen Elohim face to face, and in the translation, my life is preserved. In the Hebrew, and my soul is snatched. My soul is snatched in the sense of my soul is delivered. Translator translates, and my life is preserved. Right? But we have the panim. Panim is face, right? Or more directly, faces. It's presence, right? Or presences, right? Literally, panim is faces. But often, when we refer to the face, notice, when we refer to the face, if you look at any face, right, generally speaking, the face, like it's a circle, right? A circle. Some people have more square faces, but generally, let's use a circle example. And then if you draw a line in the middle of the circle, right, and you split the circle right there, it's like a face, like a human face, right? Or even animal faces. Faces tend to be, like two halves together. This is kind of like the ancient Hebrew sense of this word that is here in the plural sense, but also is brought out for a kind of a singular reference. But literally it means faces, presence, presences. When Moshe said to Yahweh, right, to he who be, he says, if your faces, if your persons, if your presences go not with us, don't bring us up, right? So we have it in the context of the face of the seraphim, of the cherubim, the face of animals. Also, when we say this word panai, panim, it refers to the face, the surface of the ground, the aspect, like looking at like an aerial map of a piece of land, it's like you're looking at the face of the land. Get it? Right? It can also be used in an adverbial sense, right? Location, temporal location, like before, behind, like it says, Lifnei Yahweh, before he who be, or in the presence of, in the face of, in the person of Yahweh. Lifnei, right? Yahweh. So Lifnei come from the panim, fanim, right? Root sense, right? Let's bring it down right here. But this is the word for person, just to show right here. So we can see that the word here is defined as face, right? From paneh, right? Paneh, the face, as the part that turns, right? Right. So here it says, accept the persons of the wicked, right? But we now know that the word accept is like the sense of lifting up, right? And the word for persons is like face, right? So this brings out now more the Hebrew sense and the true sense. Ufene rishayim tisu selah. So what is brought out by respect of persons? As it says, not good to have respect of persons. In the Hebrew sense of this right here, right? Ufene rishayim tisu. You have recognition. Like for instance, facial recognition. This about facial recognition. This is talking about in judgment, we are not to have any facial recognition. Let me repeat that once again. In judgment, right, based on the Psalm here and elsewhere in the Hebrew scriptures, we are not to have facial recognition. What do you mean? It's like if I'm the judge in the case, right? And somebody comes before me and say, "Hey, judge, what's up? How you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a while." And you're there, right? You know, to sue the other person who you say done you wrong, and then the judge will have to do what? What they say? You have to recuse himself. That's why in some cases, they act like they don't really know each other, because according to the principle of just judgment, we are not to have respect of persons, or in the KJV right here, it says, accept the persons. But as we already mentioned to you, the word accept right here, or respect, the word nasa, to lift up, right? The sense of to lift up, right? To exalt, to lift up, right? And the word for persons, not that, the word for persons, panim, is face, faces, right? Respect the faces, right? Respect the faces of the wicked. Recognize the faces of the wicked. Yeah, I know him. Yeah, he's real. He's a real bad man. He's a real wicked man. But yeah, I know him. He's cool. Right? They contravene. So in Psalm 82, these corrupt judges, and we take principles for I and I, self and I walk in the way, truth, and life, right? Not to contravene or to counterman, right? To counterman, like we're in a army or an order, right? The commander gives a command, right? And Yahweh is a command of commanders. He give a command, and we counterman that command. So these who are being brought out here before Ha'el, the Almighty, as El judges the Elohim, as the Almighty judges the judges, right? Why? Because of respect of persons, because of facial recognition, because of partiality to face, right? And partiality, therefore, to persons. They contravene the basic rule, right? Now, here, this right here can bring us to the Leviticus, right? Leviticus right here. Now, the word defend, just to make note right there, the word defend is also shafat, right? In case we go there, right? But here, let's go over here, right? And here we are in Leviticus 19:15, where the English reads, the KJV, King James Version, y'all shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect, nasa. You see the same word nasa, lift up, respect. So over there in KJV, they say accept. But over here in KJV, it says respect. Respect the person. So still the phrase, the idea, respect of person, or respect of panim, respect or regard to faces or facial recognition, right? Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor. That's what it's saying, not to respect the person of the poor. Not saying to disrespect, but not to regard, well, yeah, I know that poor man, yeah, he's really poor. So then when we look at the person that the poor man might be suing, right, we think like he's rich, so he must be wrong because he is rich. You see, that also is corrupt judgment, right? And this is how I got on this, because of the Ras Shiloh tune right there, right? The rights of the poor. All right. Well, yes, the rights of the poor. All right. Truly, the rights of the poor, since the poor have been so wrong, But as principle, right, we're not to respect the person, the faces of the poor, nor, it says, nor honor the person. Notice the same H6440 word, face, to honor, right? To honor, to hadar, to honor, to glorify, to swell up. To show, you see what it says, to honor, to pay honor to. So look what it says. So when we pay honor to, so some people say, I'm not partial to anybody. Well, it didn't say that. It says partiality in judgment. Right? As righteous, we ought to be partial to Yahweh Eloheinu, B'Shem Yeshua HaMoshiach. We are. But here, because we're to honor. But here, to honor, to pay honor, you see where the second entry says to show partiality. To show partiality, right? So we're not to lift up the faces, the person of the poor, or show facial recognition to them, nor are we to show partiality to the person, to the face. Remember, both words for person, right? So this is what it truly means when it says in the true Trinity, we say the Hebrew Trinity, right, about the three persons, right? But see, the persons has to do with this word right here, panim, right? Presence, or we like to interpret this with regard to the true Trinity as the interfaces, right? It's not three gods or Elohim, no, it's one, right? It's one, Elohim Echad, right? But how he chooses, right? Whether he chooses to send his word, right? His word, even his word as the Mala'ak, right? As Hamala'ak, as the angel, or whether he chooses to send his spirit, right? He's still one. But here it's telling us that we're not to have respect to the person, to the face of the poor, and not to honor the person or the face of the mighty, the face of the Gadol, the big up, the Gadol, the big, right? The big, right? Gadol. Now this is applied, right? This may be applied to others as well, to God himself, to distinguished person, to older one in age, also to sound being loud. But here it's bringing out the one who's the rich. So by saying Gadol in this context, it's bringing out the one who is rich or has like a big name, like a position. Like, who are you? You know, we all know this guy here. We know he's a great guy, and you're bringing a charge against this great guy. You must be out of your mind. You see, that's where the corrupt judges were brought into this arraignment in Psalm 82. But it says in what? In righteousness, right choiceness, shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Because both the poor, right? The poor, what's the word for the poor? Dal. So we have the word dal. The word for the poor, dal, the low, the poor, the weak, the thin one. Now, another point right here, just briefly, is that in Hebrew, the idea of poor is not quite the same. The spirit of the idea, the word, is not quite the same as we have it in the Western Gentile, the English. The poor is actually regarded in the Hebrew scriptures almost with a kind of a slight reverence, a respect, you know, for the poor. And the poor often is not always in the sense of financial or monetary, because one can have a lot of money in the community, but somebody else may have a big name. So they don't have as much money as the other person with a big name, right? But they really are the stronger, and the one with a lot of money but not the influence is actually the poor. Right? So discernment is important. So the word dal for poor comes from the verb dalal. Dalal means to hang to language, to hang down, to be low, right? To language, to be weak, right? Or laid low, right? Laid low. It has a sense of to slacken, right? To be feeble. In the figurative sense, where we get dal from dalal, it means to be like down pressed, right? To be down pressed, right? Can mean to be impoverished or down pressed, right? So there's many situations sometimes when the rulers are not the richest people, but are the people who have the power of rule and influence, right? And they can actually make the so-called people with wealth, right, impoverished, right? But here the main point is that both the dal, right, both the poor, right, and the gadol, right, and the mighty, both the thin, the weak, the impoverished, the down-pressed, and the gadol, the mighty, the bigger, they are both, right, thy neighbor. So these in Psalm 82 at verse 2, right, they contravene the basic rule, thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor favor or show partiality, right, to the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge, shafat, right, shall thou shafat, right, judge, govern, or in the sense down here, pronounce sentence for or against, not based on the face that you recognize or that you favor, but based on the merit of the case, right? Whether to vindicate one, right, or to punish the other, right? So right here, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. So the scales of justice must be held evenly. That's the first principle right there. The scales of justice. So The scales of justice in this sense is not always a literal scale, right? That's just used here figuratively, but it's when looking at the person. Notice what they both have in common. They're both person. Both faces are coming before you, both persons, right? One is the person of the poor, the face of the poor, and one is the person of the mighty. All right. So in looking at both of them, you can't say, well, I like this guy here, right? You didn't even hear the case. You say, I like his case, or his case is the right case, but you like that. Therefore, the scales are out of balance. They're not being held evenly without bias in favor of the poor, from a feeling like, yeah, I know how it is because I've been poor too, right? So therefore, he must be right. No. Without bias in favor of the poor, the Dao, from a feeling that the verdict against the richer party or the bigger party, the Gadol, the mighty, to the suit, would not inconvenience him. And certainly without partiality, right? Partiality to the man of influence, right? The man, the Gadol, the big up yourself, the man of influence from a fear, right? False evidence appearing real or a fear of the consequence to Hashofet or to the Shoftim, to the judges, right? Or as a result of bribery. Because then sometimes, well, if I go against this mighty man, you remember Phineas? Remember the scene with Phineas? When the people did that uckery with the daughters of the Moabites and the Midianites and got caught up in the Baal, Peor, whoredom and all that, right? And idolatry. And then there's this guy that comes through, brings a woman to this next guy, and then Phineas, you see that while the people are mourning because of the judgment of what just went on, and the people are still going on with that. Remember how Phineas, how he got himself up, and he went and juked both the man and the woman, the daughter of some prince of Midian, right? But, juked both of them in the harlotry, right? Now, notice when the scripture says, I think it was Zimri, son of Salu, that he was a big man. He was a big man, right? Can you imagine? He's a big man in the camp. And Phineas, who are you? Yeah, you're related to the Levitical family, but, you're not of position. How dare you do this? Let somebody else of position do it. But then note also how Yahweh immediately after that, brought forward, the covenant of peace, right? That he will make that eternal priesthood and that covenant of peace that will be made with Phineas. Why? Because he had a zeal, right? He had a zeal, right? The zeal for Yahweh, in a sense, ate him up that he had to act, even though his acting, right? When you look at the peshat of the narrative, his acting was very dangerous, right? He took on a big man, like a made man in the community. He took that one on and he jerked him and he killed him. Right? And of course, was he expecting Yahweh to speak on his behalf? No. He just knew what was wrong, and he judged, right, righteously, right? He judged righteously. And to the point of judge, right, judge. In Psalm 82, we have the verbs in 2 verses, right? This is this word right here, shafat, right, shafat, right? This verb right here, shafat, to judge. Right, in the first two verses, right, that, right, indicate the duty, right? This indicates the duty of a judge, right here, and bringing it down to the Strongs down here, to judge, that is, to pronounce sentence. So that means in some cases, some of the corrupt judges probably didn't even pronounce a sentence. So, oh man, I know the poor guy, I grew up with a poor guy, but that rich guy, he's very mighty in the community. So, we just wave this case off. We just wave it off. All right. So that also was injustice. That was Avel. That was evil. Avel. Right. The duty of the judge is to pronounce sentence based on Yahweh's judgment, based on Ha Elohim, the true good, the true God's judgment. Right. Whether for, right, that means to vindicate, to make righteous or innocent, or against, right, to render guilty or criminal, and to punish, right? And this is what had not been carried out by the men, right? The men carrying that position and that title in the community of, collectively speaking, the Elohim, right? Whom El now indicts. So we have an indictment right here. And this is interesting to study this here, right? This section, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 5, in context with Psalm 82, right? Psalm 82. So when you get to the 6th verse and it says, I have said ye are gods, you don't have this delusive idea. You're not running around looking at what all the other nations are doing. Okay, He has separated us from the other nations. Ani amarti Elohim atem. I have said Elohim, right? Gods, judges, Elohim atem, you all. U b'nei Elyon kulkem, and all of you, right? And all of you, kulkem, all of you are b'nei, sons of Elyon, are sons of the highest, are sons of the Most High, are sons of the highest. So right here, little Selah moment right here. Gonna pick up a few of the Q&As. Here, bring forth Desiree with Most High. All right, remember, children, sons of the Most High, but also that duty as Elohim, as judges, as His children for righteous judgment.
Where I stand, that I'm not the only one. Go through tribulation, and to the Most High we have to run. So when you can't take no more, and you done, Father, come when we give attention. Some things no run how we plan, but according to God's plan, I say. Call unto the Most High. 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 Calling to the Most High. Call unto the Most High. Calling to the Most High. Call on Him. We face frustration, but you're not the only one. What you'll never take on, so let it get you down, shut like lion. Same tribulation, and the same thing will make you strong. Them things have wanted so long, all but the plan. I say, calling to the Most High, 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 calling Him, calling Him.
So here, we like to pick up with the questions, the Q&As from the previous Torah reading and feeding right here. I think we had left off at question 21. So here, let's bring this on the screen right there. Q&A, give thanks, Hebrews for Christians. Overall, it's a good point of reference in our studies. Although sometimes the Holy Spirit will show me and show I and I some things, but still, iron sharpen iron. So we left off with question number 21. This is from the previous Torah reading and feeding for Parshat Vayera. Parshat Vayera. Vayera, wa or va, and yera, and he was seeable, and he appeared. Literally, he was seeable, right? He was visible, and he appeared. So we was at question 21, left off of question 21, here for continuity purposes here. The one where it said, how do we explain Sarah's denial that she that she laughed. Hold on for a moment right here. That she laughed. So we touched on that one right there. So here. We at question 22. Let's see if we can get a few of these. You know, there's an 80 in full, right? But they're very, very important and kind of bringing out certain details that maybe in the first read we might just kind of like miss over, right? Or, you know, we're focusing maybe on another important area. So here, question 22. When the now here we just bun this right here, you know, not personal against our brother John J. Parsons or even others, but they like to keep saying angels, 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 and yet the word angel, malak, right, malakim, does not appear right anywhere in the chapter. Rather, in the chapter, just to go right here, just for continuity purposes, right here in the chapter here, we had Genesis chapter 15, round about this verse here in the studies, all right, going all the way here in Yahweh, and he who be, Wayera, and he appeared to him in the Elone Mamre. The Elone is not the plain, it's the trees, it's the strong trees. Elone, the God trees of Mamre, the trees, yeah, the trees. And he sat in the tent door in the Hom Hayom, in the hot part, the hottest part, called the Hom, you know, when it's really hot, the hot part of the day. And then it says this right here. It says, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, look, right? Look, here it is. Shalosha, three anashim, three men, or bringing out the nuance of the Hebrew, three mortal men. Shalosha anashim. Here we see the Hashalush HaKadosh, the Hebrew Trinity right here, the trifecta, right? Shalosha Anashim stood by him. Now, we touched on Psalm 82 because of the Natsab in Psalm 82, right? Where it says Elohim Nitzab Ba'adat El, that Elohim, that God standeth, right, in the congregation of El, of the Almighty, Natsab, to take one stance, right? Take one stance, like a solemn stance, you know, like to hold your position, right, by him. And when he saw, right, he ran to meet them, likratam, meet them from the tent door and bowed himself to the ground. So, you know, all this like angel talk, right? You know, that says angel, angel, angel. Why don't we just say what the text says? The text says three men, right? On the Hebrew, Shalosha Anashim, Shalosha Anashim. See, look right here. Look, it says, and the men. And singular is Enosh, right? In the Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, Aramaically, Anash, right? But here we have Anashim in the plural sense. You see where it says mortal men, right? Persons, three individuals, right? Mortal, right? And this differs it from Adam. So there's at least four main words in the biblical Hebrew that often is just translated as man, right? So here, the Shalosha Anashim. So here it says, and the Anashim rose up from thence. So what was the question? When the Anashim, right, they say angels, we're going to stick to the text. When the men, let me do this right here. When the men, right, got up to go, Abraham went with him to send them on their way. This is Genesis 18:16. What does that teach us? Teach I and I about hospitality. Now, even that little nuance right there where it says to send them on their way, I hope you can see this. I know it's kind of a little small right there on the screen, but hopefully right here, you see where to send them on their way. Now, if we read, what is it, 18 and 16, let's do this right here. Reading 18 and 16 right here, just from the KJV, we got it right there. And the Anashim rose up, right, from there, and looked towards Sodom. And Abraham, you see what it says in the KJV, went with them to bring them on the way. Then I had clicked on this halak, right? He went with them. right, to bring them on the way. So he sent them to bring them on. I think there's something in the Hebrew. Just give me one moment right here. I was reading over this verse, and we said, oh, that's a little nuance that the KJV really didn't bring out right there. Wayakumu Misham, and they rose up from there. Ha Anashim, ha, definite article, ha, the Anashim, the men. Why Yasha Kifua ala Panea Sidon, Panei Sidon. Okay, let's bring this out here so you can see this as well. Let's bring that out. There we go. This word here is shakaf. Shakaf, overlook, overhang, shakaf, right? They appeared, right? Al Panay Sodom, they looked over to Sodom, right? Where Abraham Holek. So Abraham's halakha. What this teaches us about hospitality, it teaches us the true halakha. I know people say halak, that's a Yiddish word. No. Let's first study before we make these false accusations, right? Halak means to go, to walk. Halakha, like to proceed, the procedure, like the manner of life. Halakha, like halakha. So when we talk about the halakha, it comes from this word halak, right? Hebrew word halak, right? So here in the context it says, where Abraham holek, and Abraham walked, like he went, right? Imam with them, imam with them, right? Le shalham. Now this is the word, to send them. You see, I noticed that when I looked at the Strong's, blue letter words and everything, we're using the My Sword, not the blue letter Bible. My Sword we use as an app. But when we looked at the Strong's blue letter words, we didn't see that on the English part of the ledger. Let's just show you this right here. Let's compare scripture, right? Let's compare scripts right here. And here's the King James Version, right? Here's King James Light, right? And here's King James with, now notice, we go over here, it's Abraham. We go over here, it's Halak. And we go over here and it's, see, the word for way is usually derek, or derek, right? Here is shalach. So it's good how John J. Parson, Hebrew Christians, even in the question, when you see the question 22, right? The part we strike is the angel part. When Ha-Nashim, when the men got up to go, right? Because that's what it's saying Yahweh revealed himself, right? And as these three men, right? People don't like it, but that's what it says. You know what I'm saying? Well, some people might not. But it says Abraham went with them to send them to do what? Shalach. The word shalach, right? To send them, right? To send them on their way. In Genesis 18:16. What does that teach us about hospitality? So let's get to the answer right here. Here. What does that teach us? Well, it's important. What it teaches us is a true halakha, right? The true manner, like manner of life and liberty, the true walk, how to really walk it out, right? It is important to see a guest off when he or she or they, right, leave. Abraham did so even though he was, remember, still recovering from his recent circumcision. Ha-Anashim, the men, right, the Shalosha, the three men, the Hebrew Trinity, did not deny him the opportunity to do this mitzvah, to do this mitzvah is like a command, but interpretively to do this good deed. Question 23, why and to whom did Yahweh ask whether he should reveal to Abraham his plans to judge? So still in the theme of Shafat, Shofet, judge, judgment, to judge Sodom and Amorah, right? It's no G in the Hebrew. It's actually the Ain, a hard A, right? But here, let's bring up this verse. This is the next verse. Let's just focus on the verse right here. And it says right here, verse 17. And Yahweh said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do, that thing, Asher, that which, right, Asher, that which I do, that which, right, that which I asa, to do. So who was he speaking to? Well, apparently this is a rhetorical question. Some of us see it as a rhetorical question. Do you see it as a rhetorical question? Was addressed by Yahweh, right, to the Anashim, right, to the other, you say two, right, that would be sent as messengers called angels to Sodom. Was Abraham to be entrusted with the Divrei Elohim, with the words, the oracles of Elohim, since Elohim foresaw that Abraham would be faithful, Naaman, right? Naaman, to instruct his children, his sons, to keep Yahweh's way. And that the Beit Yisrael, the Beta Israel people, Yah people, Jah people, the Yehudi, the tribe of Judah people, would become a great and mighty nation that would bless, empower, to prosper other nations in the earth, other Goyei Haaretz, other nations, nationalities of the earth. He chose to reveal his plans to him. Ha Elohim, Yahweh Eloheinu, also knew Abraham's concern for his nephew Lot, of course. So it says there were three, right? There were three, right? And one of the three speaking to the other of the three. Now, in the Hashalush HaKadosh context, it is Yahweh Ha'av, right? Speaking to the, to the Bain and the Ruach HaKadosh, right? Speaking to the Son and the Holy Spirit. But we will build on that right there, to the next question right here. Question 24. What is meant, right? What is meant by the Derek? The Derek Yahweh, the Derek Yahweh, the Derek Yahweh, the Derek of Jehovah, that Abraham would guard, would keep. Now, there's another very important verse right here. It says, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation. So the last question there. And all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, empowered to be prospered in him, and like through him, by way of him. For I know him, right? For I know him that he will command his children, his sons, and his household, and his bayit, his house, right after him. And they shall keep, they shall shamar, they shall guard, observe, keep the way of Yahweh. So here we have the Derek, the way, the road, right? But here, I think Strong's bringing out right here very well, even in the figurative sense, where it says right here, just to highlight that right there, where it says figuratively, a course of life or a mode of action. When addressing like a derek, like a road, notice what it says. It's not just a road, because there's other words we can use for road in Hebrew, biblical Hebrew even, but this is like a well-trodden road. So the derek. So what is meant by the derek Yahweh? That Abraham would shamar, that he would guard and observe. The way of Yahweh is to do righteousness and justice. La asot, tzedakah, umishpat in the Hebrew. To do righteousness, to do la asot, tzedakah, umishpat. La asot, to do tzedakah, righteousness, charity, right choiceness, righteousness, and mishpat, and justice and judgment. To do righteousness and judgment. This is the derek, right? This is what is meant by the derek, right? The way, right? The way of Yahweh. That's what it says right there. To do what? Justice and judgment, that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that he have spoken of him. Right? So Yahweh spoke of Abraham, but Abraham now, when it says faith without works is dead, but by doing, like doing la sota sadaka umishpat, by doing, justice and judgment, right? Or righteousness, sadaka and judgment, right? This is how Yahweh will be able to fulfill, right, with Abraham, because Abraham is like co-laboring with Yahweh. Question number 25. What is the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah? Now, this could be a whole reason right here, because the prophets bring out some very, very interesting matters. Often when we think about the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah, we're thinking about the sodomite activity, or the homosexual, or the different, sexual aberrations that the people, right, according to Yah's way, right, that the Sodomites were engaged in. But according to the sages, the people of Sodom were so obsessed with materialism and self-gratification that the very idea of hospitality, right, and charity became and was an alien thing. So much so that it was regarded as a capital crime against the state to help the poor and stranger. It's interesting because some people have that same idea. You see somebody that could use a little help. Nah, I ain't gonna help them because back when I was doing stuff, nobody was helping me, right? So the basic act of hospitality, right? Now we can go to the prophets too. I think it's Ezekiel, Yehezkel, which speaks about, one of the prophets speaks about what the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was, like pride and fullness of bread and not having charity, right? Not having charity. And we touched on even the whole word and the principle, of charity, right? Charity is a very, very important theme right here, Chabarim, right? So this Sodom, right, was a wealthy city that was filled with crime, corruption, and, like they say, a institutionalized greed or systemic greed. They saw systemic racism. Well, they had systemic greed, systemic corruption, systemic crime. The laws of Sodom were biased in favor of the rich, right, and hardened, right, and hardened in its perversity, right, and hardened, right. Here, hold on for a moment. Just okay, yeah. Was hardened, right. They was hardened in their way that they routinely, right, practice, right. They practice, uckery. So the laws, as we mentioned right there, once again, the laws of Sodom were biased laws in favor of the rich, and outright murder was a part of what they practiced as their law, their routine practice. Ha Elohim gave them 25 years. It is said that Yahweh had given them 25 years to repent. However, Sodom grew more and more hardened, right, in its perversity, its twistedness. In light of the straightforward narrative that's given in Bereshit, in Genesis chapter 19, verses 1 to 17, however, right, one may add that the people of Sodom were also sexual deviants who attempted to literally gang rape, right, the two messengers, the Malakim, right, as well as Lot himself. That there reveals even further just how depraved, right, they were. They, quote, indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire, right? This here from the scripture refers to the wanton promiscuity that blindly, right, crossed gender lines. We have even in the Brit Chadasha, Judah, Jude chapter 1, verse 7, 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 7 to 10. So let's add sexual violence. Let's add exploitation, all right? Let's add wholesale pornification, right, fornication slash fornication, right, of the cult, that's their culture, right, to the list of Sodom's evil ways that resulted in catastrophe, right, the catastrophic judgment by fire, or we say from a deeper reading of the text, Gomorrah, Amora, the volcano, right? Both the volcano from below and fire from above, right? So there is the other part where it says that the sin of Sodom, right, was the sin. Hold on for a moment. Let me show you this right here, because since we just mentioned it, it's important to kind of bring this up. The sin, right, of, I think going to be going back. The sin of Sodom, right, of Sodom, right. There we go. Correct it. Okay. The sin of Sodom. Okay. I said Ezekiel. My bad. Slichali. Right. It's Yeshayahu, Isaiah 3:9. It says, the shoe, right, of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide not. Woe to their soul, for they have rewarded evil to themselves. Right? Then it speaks over here in Lamentations. Let's see right here. Let's see. Hold on for one moment, because I think there's another area, right? Fullness of bread. Let me get this part right here just to share this so I remember. Fullness of bread. I know we're still in the questions here, but sometimes, a rhema word comes up, a right now word comes up. All right, is it here? All right, fullness of bread. Okay, Sodom, right? Let's see. Sin of Sodom. They might use another word, iniquity of Sodom. All right, one more time right here. I'll pick up on this. I know somebody's out there probably saying what the verse is. It has to right around here, overthrow of Sodom. Let's go back to the page before. And it doth witness against them. Right, overthrow. Let's go right here. All right. I think it's right in this. Oh, there we go. Ezekiel. It was Ezekiel. Well, it's elsewhere too, where Sodom is brought as an example and sample. But here, Ezekiel, Yechezkel, in the Hebrew, Yechezkel, Ezekiel 16:49. Behold, this was iniquity. So I was looking up sin. This was the iniquity, right? The iniquity, the avon, the avon, the perversity, depravity. This was the depravity, perversity of thy sister Sodom. Right? Pride. Oh, fullness. You see, when I looked up fullness, I did it in the modern way. I had to remember the old KJV. Fullness there is one L. We might spell it today with two L's. Fullness of bread and abundance of idleness. So this also is to that particular question right there, right? The iniquity, the perversity, right, of Sodom, right, was pride. Right, pride. Let's look at the words pride, gaon, pride, right, pride, haughtiness, gaon, right, arrogancy, right, fullness, siba'a, satisfaction, being satisfied, satiated, right, fullness of bread, of lechem. Now remember, even today we use bread in a kind of a same sense as even in the ancient bread. Right? Bread is the little bread, but bread is also a sense of wealth, because you have bread, you have food, that's a staple of life, right? And abundance, it says, and abundance, shalwa or shalva. Shalva, modern Hebrew, shalwa or shalva. Shalva is quietness, ease. Shalwa, security. Notice what it says, security. Right? They exchange what? Privacy for security. Right? Security, whether it's genuine or false. Right? Security is from the shalal, right? Shalal, to be at rest, right? To be easy. Everything is easy, it's tranquil, right? In their sodomite gated community, right? So they had the abundance of idleness. And see the word idleness? Shakat. shakat, like quietness. It was undisturbed. People kind of left them alone to their sodomite activity, right? But Lot and this whole scene coming to what it came to, right? What it came to. So here is Ezekiel 1649. Just to put Ezekiel 1649 into the equation, right? So here to get to question 26, right? Get to question 26. Let's go over here, bring it to chapter 18, right? Where we was at? Where was we at? We was at 18, seeing that Abraham, right here, Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, question 26. What was Abraham's response to Yahweh's plan to judge Sodom, to judge Sodom, right? What was Abraham's response to Elohim's plan to judge Sodom? Now, this is sections Genesis 18:22 to 33, right? Those 11 or so verses right here, right? Simply put, right, for right now, for continuity purposes, Abraham continued to stand, right? Abraham continued to stand. It says right here, and Abraham, right, that we spoke of Abraham, let's say, cries grievous, among the faces. Oh, there we go. Verse 22, right? He continued to stand. Remember the other word stand, nitzab, right? And they stood in the first part, in the first verse. They used the word natzab. Here is the other word, right? The other word, opposite of sitting, amad. So some amad, to stand, that we get even Judaically, Hebraically, the amida, the amida. So we have what was called the standing prayer. Even Robbeinu, our rabbi, Yeshua HaNotzri, Yeshua HaMoshiach, he even says, and when you stand praying, what to do, giving good advice to we Talmudim. But here we see, and the men turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom. But it says, Abraham stood yet before Lifnei Yahweh. So here we get Abraham, right, doing the core of the Amida. So you might hear about the Amida, the standing prayer. He continued to stand before Yahweh. Abraham Odeinu, Omeid Lifnei Yahweh. So Abraham Odeinu, he continued, Omeid, standing, right? Lifnei, in the presence of, in the face of, or before Yahweh. And he did what? Furthermore, he questioned Yahweh Eloheinu. Basically, he said, will you actually wipe out the righteous along with the wicked? How could Elohim justify the destruction of an entire city for the sins of a few? Was it really a few? It would be sacrilege, right, to say that the judge, the shofet of all the earth, was not righteous in his mishpat, in his judgment, right? Is basically what he goes through to say, as he says right here, will you destroy the righteous with the wicked? And then he says, peradventure, right? Like to say, perhaps there be 50 righteous. And then he goes through. But this is what he is saying right here. Now, note this, that Yehudi, right, Judaic, and the tribe of Judah tried and tradition states that there are always 36, some say, hidden righteous people. This is something known as a Lamed Vav Nix. Lamed Vav Nix. Lamed Vav Nix. We'll touch on that. Who keep the world itself from being destroyed by Aish. Who keep the world from being destroyed by fire. So there's a tribe, a tradition that says there are 36, right, hidden, right, treasured, hidden righteous people, right, who keep this world, right, itself from being destroyed by fire. We'll pick up on the Lamed Vav Nix, right, Lamed Vav Nix, pointing to the Hebrew letters. So it's probably linking, the number, for context. So we'll address that right there, right? So here, boom, 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 boom. The sin. Okay, 27. Did Abraham's intercession, his Amida, right, for Sodom and Gomorrah go far enough? Did it go far enough? Or some might even ask, did it go too far? But what if there were but one or two individuals who were righteous in the city? Where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am. Right? Is it Robein, Bein Elohim, Chayim, HaMoshiach tell us that we're two or three? Look at that, two or three. Here's the Shalosh Anashim, HaShalosh HaKadosh, where two or three are gathered together in Bishemi, Shemi, in my Shem, there I am. Now, some even argue or reason that Abraham, Abinu, should have made the case that if even there was only a single, solitary, individual, indivisible dual, individual who was tzaddik, righteous, that Yahweh Eloheinu should withhold his judgment to destroy the entire city. All right, some reason on that. How sayest thou? Right there. And this is not against against Abraham, but it's just a reason. Come, make with reason. All right. See, in the true faith, we have the ability to reason. I mean, look how Abraham here is reasoning with Yahweh. Right? Look, he's asking the question, and he said, "Okay, this is once more. All right, just this once more. Okay, this is it. Right? Let me just ask this. But note this here, that when it comes down to the fullness right here, let's go down here. He goes down here, like he says 50, right? The countdown is going down to 40, to 30, to 20. Notice it's in the tens, right? Is there something with these tens? And he said, oh, let not Adonai be angry, and I will speak yet but this once, right? This pa'am, right? Pa'am, this once, peradventure, perhaps 10, right? Esser, the Esser, right? 10, right? Asara, 10, right? Shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. Now, why is this important? Because the next verse, Yahuwah, after the 10, after he got it from the 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, right? Yahuwah went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned to Mekomo, to his place, right? But here, from this 10, we get the minyan. So for the Chabarim, when you hear talk about the minyan, the 10 Torah observing brethren, the 10, right? The 10 mandem, right? The 10. This is where, led to the 10 righteous, to the Yehudi, the Judaic, the tribe of Judah tribe, to adopt the idea of the minyan, the 10, right, for prayer, right? Abraham's satisfaction, obviously, with the 10. This led to the Judaic tribe of the idea that it requires 10. So in other words, when the temple was standing, we could go to the temple for prayer, for sacrifice, for offerings, for the conducting of all of our covenant holy business, right, there, right? But if we couldn't make it to, say, Jerusalem, right, and this is after, especially more so after the return from the Babylonian captivity by the tribe of Judah, and we were in our local town, and say we had a couple of hundred people there, but we would have a moed, like a synagogue, a appointed place, a meeting place, a moed. And in that moed, right, we would choose like 10, right, men from the community who can, devote the time, right, to Torah study, right, and to keeping the scrolls. so that even if we could not journey all the way, if journeying to Jerusalem to speak to the Shoftim and the Sanhedrin and the courts and the scholars was too far, we would have scholars in our local community. So this is where the Judaic, the Hebraic, or the Judaic idea of a local kahila or kahal, assembly, or in later times called church, an out-called gathering, would have 10 men. And these 10 men who would study the scripture, who would no doubt also write, the scrolls and be in charge of gathering scrolls so that we can have access in our local community to the Torah scrolls. This is where the 10, right? Something about the 10, the Yod, the Hebrew letter, that's the name of the Father and the Son. The Yod also has a numerical value of 10, right, as well. So there's even more to that idea of 10. But be that as it may, let's go to the next question here. We'll at least try to get to hopefully 40 without rushing too much right here. We do have a psalm. It's Liku Batalawa. It's called Behold How Pleasant, Good and Pleasant is for brethren to dwell together in unity. But here's the question 28. What is a Lamed Waw Nik, or modern Hebrew Lamed Vavnik? Lamed Vavnik. In Yehudi, in the tribe of Judah, mystical tribe, in the mystical tradition, there are Lamed Waw Sadiqim. Lamed Waw. So in Hebrew, right? In Hebrew, let's see if we can bring it up right here so you can see it down here. Let's see it. Hold on for a moment. This thing right here. Okay. Yeah, let's bring this up. The notes at the bottom right here. Here we go, right here. So you can see it. Okay, you see the Hebrew right there? In fact, yeah. Okay, let's do this right here. Okay, just take a screenshot of that right there. Okay, so here we have Lamed. You see it at the top right there. Lamed. Now, looking at the right-hand side of the screen is the Asherit, the later Hebrew letter, Asherit, Lamed, the L. Then it has the backward quotation marks, right? Then it has the Hebrew letter Wow, an ancient pointing called Wow, modern Hebrew, and many enunciate as Vav. Vav or Wow. Wow. Lamed, Wow, right? Lamed, Wow. And now that right there, that stands for 36. So when we write the Hebrew like that, is to use the Hebrew letters as numbers, right? So Lamed, like the Psalms, right? It has a numerical value. Lamed has a numerical value of 30. And Wow or Vav, Lamed Vav, Lamed Wow, has a numerical value of 6. And then we have Sadiqim, 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 Sadiq, a righteous one, and Sadiqim, righteous ones. So right there, they're there. That's to bring out, the shorthand right there. So to say 36. So Lamed Wow Nix is to say like the 36 righteous one. Lamed Wow Sadiqim. Lamed Vav Sadiqim. Right? So right there, they're there. So here, what is a Lamed Wow Nix, Vav Nix? So in the Yehudi mystical tradition, there are Lamed Vav Sadiqim, or 36 hidden righteous one, or 36 righteous ones, right, who are said to be hidden, who keep the world from being destroyed. Now, this idea is said to come from Abraham's intercession, right, for Sodom, when he appealed to Yahweh Eloheinu not to sweep away the righteous, the Sadiqim, with the wicked, with the Rishaim, Bamishpat, in judgment. Abraham argued that if only 10 righteous were found in a wicked, in a ratchet city, Yahweh Eloheinu should preserve the city for the sake of the 10, for the sake of the 10, for the sake of the minyan, for the sake of the 10. Question number 29. Why did the two angels, we substitute this for what malak means, messengers. Why did the two messengers, to get out that spooky Christianism, and so then Judaism, has some crazy ideas about angels, but simply an angel is a messenger, right? Why did the two messengers, malakim, come to Sodom in the evening? So here we go to the next chapter right here. Right, let's go to the next chapter. So when it says, and there came two, KJV says angels. That's from Mala'ak. Mala'ak, a singular sense. Malakim, angels. You can clearly see it's a messenger, specifically of God, right? That is an angel, right? A messenger, an angel. Also a prophet, a priest, a teacher. This word Mala'ak, that's translated here as angels. Elsewhere in translation is translated as ambassador, right? Angel, king, right? And messenger, right? So why did the two messengers, right? Why did they, you know the question. So the answer, right? In the evening. Well, the two Malakim, right? They were said, right? They are said to be, and I'm emphasizing said, right? Just building on, what has been taught, and then we can reason on that and see whether, there's truth to the teaching, right? Was said to be Mikael, right? Some say sent to save Lot, and Gabriel, sent to destroy the cities. When Gabriel, according to Yehudi teaching, saw Abraham praying for the city, however, he waited. Right? Now, this implies Abraham spent all day in his standing prayer. Remember, it was an Amida, in his standing prayer. So right here, why was Lot, question number 30, why was Lot sitting at the gate of Sodom? This is all in the first verse right here, where it says, and there came two messengers to Sodom. Let's just give the Hebrew right here, right, of this verse right here. Wayabu Shnei Yaha Malakim Sidoma Ba'ereba Wilota Yosheba Be Sha'ara Sidoma Wayara Lota Wayakama Likaratam Wayishatahua Apaim Arza. So that's the fuller verse right there, right? Just for even to remind myself of, like the differences sometimes there might be with something according to translation, right? So the Shnei Malakim, right? So he was in the Sha'ar, right? The Sha'ar, not Shar, but Sha'ar. He was in the gate, right? So why was he in the gate of Sodom? Right, the gate of Sodom. Lot had become a judge. It is said that Lot had become a judge. Now, this makes a lot of sense right here. We read, well, he's sitting in the gate. Well, he's just sitting, just hanging out, just in the gate, like on a block, on the corner or something. Interesting, right? How we do that, right? But the gate of the city is where the elders and judges sat, where different disputes or different things will be regulated and dealt with, usually at the city gates, as it says in another song, to speak with the enemies in the gates, in the gate of the city where, different business took place. So Lot is said to have become a shofet, a judge, or a city official by this time. He became somebody, right, in Sodom, right? He probably thought, like, you know what? This is a wicked system, so I'm going to join the system to change it. Sound familiar? He's like, he's going to, he's going to join the system to change it. He's going to work from the inside out. You know what I mean? He's going to work from the inside out. This is Lot, right? Now, Psalm 1. Remember the first Psalm? Warning from the first Psalm. It says, Ashrei Ha'ish, happiness is the man, happiness of the man. Ashrei, not the Baruch, but Ashrei Ha'ish, happiness is the man that does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the way of the sinners, nor sit in the seat of the scoffers, in the seat of the sitcom. There's no sitcom, right? Nor sit in the seat of the scoffers, the sitcom. You know, a lot of sitcoms are basically scoffing, you know, kind of mockery, right? First Lot, right? First Lot walked towards Sodom, right? First, he walked towards Sodom. Remember in the previous Torah reading and feeding, by selfishly desiring worldly gain. Esau was well watered everywhere, you know, on the plains, as was the garden, like Egypt and all that. And he says, yeah, that's my spot, right? So he desired, right, selfishly worldly gain. Then, right, because he walked over there. Remember, Abraham said, choose. If you go this way, I'll go that way. So the choice is yours. So Lot chose. Then he stood in the way of the Uckers, the Hataim, the sinners, right? What did he do? He moved closer and closer, you know, inching closer and closer. You know, if we had like a stop camera, you know, like the stop camera, like over time, the time delay, so you can like speed it forward, right? He was not so near, but then he got nearer and nearer, closer and closer to the city. Finally, right? He sat in the seat of the scorners. Because where do we find him here? We find him where it says that Yoshev, right? That Lot, Yoshev, he sat, right, in the Sha'ar of Sodom. So Hebraically, this is a tell to say like the gates of the city where judgment would occur. Now he's sitting in the gates of the city, right? And then everything else that comes on the narrative, it gives backative to it. So he sat in the seat of the scorners, and his mind became debased, became twisted. That's what I say, like this righteous man suffering the conversation, their filthy conversation. Because, yeah, he's sitting with the scorners, so you're going to hear them talk filthy conversation, right? Toward the scorners, he is scornful, but to the humble, he gives favor. Where's that from? That's from Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 3:34. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 34, toward the scorners, he is scornful, but to the humble, he gives favor. I wonder how Lot was to these guys. You know, whether he was like, yeah, well, like a passive, kind of a passive aggressive. Already we recognize Lot can be called a righteous man. You know why? Because he has faith in the righteous man. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you have faith, like in a righteous man, in the name of a righteous man, you got a righteous reward. Doesn't it say that? Doesn't Moshiach say that? Rabbeinu say that? So, but his faith was more of a kind of a passive righteousness. Well, Abraham, we can see Abraham was more active. He acted. He heard about what happened to Lot. He got his 318 together, you know, his confederate, you know, from those strangers that were in covenant with him, because they obviously were of the faith of Abraham and had faith in Abraham, and he acted. But now Lot, no doubt, he knew it was a bad place, but he's not so active. So I wonder whether he was scornful to the scorners. You know what I mean? Or he just held his peace. Question number 31. Why did Lot solicit the visitors to come under his protection? Right? Why did he do it? Right? He saw them. He must have known something about them. Well, Lot, he knew the corruption and violence of the city. You know, he know what going on around here, right? And earnestly sought to protect them from harm. Therefore, he pressed them to come with him. Now, the same verb, pressed, right? The same verb is used to describe the violence of the Sodomites in verse 9. So he pressed them, right, like to encourage them, right? Let's see if we have it over here, right? He pressed them, so he bowed. Okay, here we go, right here, right? Let's see, in the evening, he pressed them, right? It's in verse 9. Let's go over here, verse 9. He pressed, yeah, there we go. He pressed them, there we go. The first, it just happened right there, right? Let's go down here, there we go, right there, right? Patsar, press, push, press. right? Display pushing, right? Presumption in a sense, but the peck at, come on, come on, come on, come on, get in, get off these streets and everything. I love the part where the two, right, Malakim, they say, nah, we're gonna stay in the street. We're gonna be in these streets and everything. But Lot he pressed them, right? Because of this, Lot is said by some to be regarded as a righteous man because of his act here, what he sought to do, at least what it appears to be his intention here. In Second Peter chapter 2, verse 7. Moreover, Lot learned the art of hospitality and the importance of social justice. Yes, justice in society, social justice. Because some believe in justice and righteousness in the religious sense, but it doesn't go outside of the religious square. You get what I'm saying? But he believed in the social justice in a real way, like his uncle Abraham, his uncle Abraham. A couple more questions right here. Right? Question number 32. Right? Question number 32. What did Lot do after the visitors finally agreed to come with him? We got the verse right there. Right? And he pressed upon them greatly, right? And they turned into him and entered into Baito, his house, and he made them a feast. Wow. Load. Where you learn to do that from? Uncle Ab, right? Uncle Abraham, right? And he made them a feast and did bake, get this, unleavened bread. Interesting. We have unleavened bread even here, right? So what did Lot do? Well, that's what he did. He made them a feast, right? He baked them matzah, right? He baked them matzah. How do we know he baked them matzah? Right? We know by hitting the word matzah, right there, unleavened bread, without leaven, right? Without leaven, right? Properly sweetness, sweet bread, right? That is not soured or bittered with yeast. When we put the yeast in it, can like make it a little more, turn off the taste. But basically, like sweet matzah.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Yeah. Blog Talk. Yeah. Parting is such sweet sorrow, but I don't know about all of that. But I say it's such sweet. Yes, brothers, right here. Yeah, there was a little difficulty right there. We'll probably have to get. Huh? All right. Yeah. All right, brothers and sisters and brothers, right here. Give me one moment right here, because we just have to just. Okay, was that question number? Which question will we add? Okay, here we go. Was that question number? Um, yeah, 32. So we're gonna take it to 32 right now. 32, just because of how things are going right here with Blog Talk, and we have to get some things set up so we can just continue this right here. So basically, Lot made them a feast. He baked them matzah. Right during the feast, the Malakim, the messengers, discussed their mission. Note that Lot apparently a lot apparently did not know he was entertaining Malakim, but assumed that they were important in some way, prophets perhaps, announcing Elohim's word, announcing God's word. And no doubt he had picked up, this sensibility, right, from or through the association with his uncle, right, Abraham, right here. So now, let me just do this right here for one moment, because we have to get this ready so we can touch on today's daily psalm. Just 3 verses, right? Today's daily psalm. right? Three powerful verses, right? Behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let's just get this here for one moment. Yeah, give me just a moment just to rearrange some things on the board right here. Wasn't expecting that. Yeah, thing with blog talk right there. But give me one moment here, here. Okay, here. Okay, hold on for a moment. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So let's deal with the next question. Let's deal with the next question right here. Apologies on it, my brothers and sisters. Some of the, want it to be a little smoother than that. But here it says, okay, what did Lot do after the visitors finally agreed to come with him? Question 32. Okay, he made that feast there. Question 33. What does the Yehudi, the Jewish, the Judaic tribe, we say tribe of Judah tribe, say about Lot's wife? Lot's wife, some say Erit, right? I think she's also named, I think, in Ethiopic Jubilees, right? But she did not desire, some say, to give the Malakim a room in the main house. And she's said to have been a miser, right? That she did not want to let Lot use, right, any salt, to use any salt for his feast. This is what it said. She finally demanded that the visitors sleep in an adjoining shed. That may explain why Lot later said that the men came, quote, under the shadow of my rafters. All right. So over here in verse 9, verse 8, I think it's verse 8. Let's see right here in verse 8. Yeah, you see what it says right here? For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Right? But then we have the word korah. Korah. Korah is a rafter, right? It's a beam, right? A beam, right? It could have used a different word for roof of the main house. So in studying some of the nuances of the word, this could imply that they were like in the shed, so to speak, under the rafter, under the shadow of my rafters for protection. Question number 34. Right? What did the inhabitants of Sodom do when they discovered that Lot had surreptitiously invited two guests into his home? Right? Surreptitiously invited two guests into his home. So this is verses 4 and 5. Right? To sum up, right? Well, they surrounded the house and demanded like a mob. They came like a mob and demanded that Lot, quote, bring them out to us so that we may know them. Note that the language, right, can also indicate sexual intercourse based on Genesis Bereshit, Genesis chapter 4, verse 1, to know. And therefore the Sodomites were demanding that the strangers be handed over, right, for homosexual, right, relationships, right, or a violation, abuse, for sodomite activity. Let's put it like that. For sodomite activity, you get it. You know that this is the correct meaning. How do we get this is the correct meaning? Some say, well, it's not really saying that. They just want to say, hey, who are you? What's your name? Right? But that this is the correct meaning is clear from Lot's warning that they not do so wickedly. Yes, they could have meant that we just want to get to know them. But it's not just the letter of the law, right? The letter, but it's the spirit. So obviously Lot picked up on their spirit, right? And Lot said to them, do not, like, not to do so wickedly. And his offer, and this is the part that gets trouble some of us, right? Right. His offer to give them his daughters instead. Note that the latter, right, his daughters, right, return the favor to their father. See how things worked out? It's weird, right? It's very weird. Now, I'd like to even touch on this whole thing about the daughters. right? The daughters, where he says over here in verse 7, don't do so wickedly. He said, I got two daughters. Notice what he says to understand what the context of this knowing, because knowing can be used. Let's bring this out right here. Yada, 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 or yada, right? Yada means to know. It can mean to learn, to know, to perceive, to see, to find out, to discern, to discriminate, to distinguish, to know by experience, to recognize, in all those senses. It can also mean to know, like to become really, really acquainted, really almost like to become intimately acquainted with something, right? And sense of this, as we have in Genesis 4:1, is like to know a person carnally, and Adam knew his wife, for example, right? In that sense. So it's like the spirit, not just a letter of it, basically, it's like how you say and to what intent you say, right? So to show that when they said they want to get to know the man, that this had to do with sodomite, right? To'eva, abominable activity, like almost like a gang, like almost like they wanted to gang RAPE these two men. How do we know that? Because here in the same narrative in verse 8, it says, behold, now I have two daughters who have not known man. Notice what he says, who have not known man, right? But they must have known a man to know if it's in the first sense of knowledge, because they know the father's a man, ain't he? Right? But here we know it's being used in the sexual sense. But here's the interesting thing about this right here, not to go into the details here, but you notice that it says that the daughters, right? That he has sons-in-law. He has sons-in-law. Doesn't say later on he has sons-in-law, and it says the sons-in-law was married, right? It was married, right, to his two daughters. But then he is telling the neighborhood, the people in the Sodom community, he's telling them that I have two daughters who have not known man. So here you see in verse 8, they have not known man, right? Right. And then over here, what was the verse where he says, right here, verse 14, and Lot went out and spake to his sons-in-law who were married, right? Who had taken, or who were married, who had taken, right, his daughters as wives, right? Who was married, who had married his daughters, right? And he said, up, get you out of this place, for Yahweh will destroy this city. But then it says here in verse 14, 19:14, it says, but he seemed as one that mocked, like you must be sahak, you must be joking, you must be mocking. That's a joke. That's a funny joke, right? To his sons-in-law. So here's the curiosity, right? Now, people say, well, why did Lot offer his daughters to these guys? If he knew what they wanted to do to the two angels, then why would he offer his two daughters? Good question. That's a very good question. But you have to consider the whole narrative. Let's consider the whole narrative, right? When he says, I have two daughters who have not known man, what thinkest thou of that? How these two daughters have not known man, and then in verse 14, they're married to these two sons-in-law, right? And the two sons-in-law don't believe their father when their father-in-law, when the father-in-law is saying, yo, we have to get out of this, they think he's joking. That means they were some weirdos too, right? This was a weird place. It's like a lot of the cities of the earth are becoming just like this. Very weird places, very strange places. When had weird marriages back then. Huh? They had weird marriages back then. Isha Shali or Ishti, I and I sister, I and I wife, she's saying they had beard marriages back then. They had beards, yeah. Ain't nothing new, right? They say ain't nothing new under the sun. See, it's so strange to us because it's just been so long, right? Since we've been, we imagine going over this narrative. I know for many ones, like this part here, this verse about the two daughters, because basically saying he's allowing the two daughters to be RAPE. All right, really? Okay. So these two daughters, let's ask what sort of individuals they had become. They grew up in Sodom. Mhm. They grew up around all of this, right? They grew up around all of this. How did that affect them? What's up with the two sons-in-law that we read about in verse 14? Now, for real, what's up with these two sons-in-law? It says He spoke to his sons-in-law who married his daughters. So they wait, hold on. So you mean you you marry a woman, right? But you don't consummate the marriage. You don't get to know her. I mean, what's a weirdo, right? Unless you marry a woman, it's like a long distance something. But then, of course, you're gonna seek to shorten that distance so to make it fulfill, right? So these two sons were weirdos, clearly, and the narrative is telling us that. But a lot of people, they focus on verse 8, right, and don't read it in context, and then we get to see what his daughters do. He's saying Lot believes. It's like a father, like a parent believes. No, not my child. My child doesn't do that. My child, the child look at them like, okay, you didn't find out. You haven't found out about that just yet. You know what I'm saying? So Lot believes. So this is where it's saying like Lot, right? This passive, this righteous man, right? Remember how righteousness is a relative term too. You know what I'm saying? See, everyone is righteous until they come into judgment. Think about it for a moment. Everyone is righteous because see, it's a judgment that renders one guilty. You can say somebody is guilty, so on. Well, if they are guilty of that, then bring a charge, bring a suit before the judges and have it weighed, right, to see whether you are righteous, right, or whether you are ratchet for your accusation, right, whether your accusation is substantiated in judgment. And then it says that he's seen as one that mocked to his sons-in-law. So his sons-in-law didn't believe him. So he is like, to say, a believer, right, in a very unbelievable situation. He's like one that has some credit, even if his credit is faith in his righteous uncle Abraham, right? In a very incredible, right, not credit worthy situation, that even his sons, his daughters, his wife, lot. But here. Um, Let's which question 34? What did the inhabitants of Sodom do when they discovered that Lot had surreptitiously brought them under his roof? Question 34. Well, they surrounded the house. They demanded that Lot bring them out to us that we may know them. So we touched on that right there. But the last part, right, the correct reading of this, interpretation of this, is because Lot said, don't do wickedly. Obviously, that knowledge was not just a regular sense of knowledge. It was more in a in a sexual connotation. And his offer to give them his daughters instead, right? Note that later his daughters, quote, returned the favor. Can you imagine? The daughters must have been somewhere around. All this commotion going on, all these people surrounding the house and everything like that. What's going on? Right here. And then to hear their father there, right? Now notice, Lot believed that his daughters didn't know man, but obviously they knew something about man or man things. They knew something about men things, later on in the narrative as well. But to the next question. Question 35. What is sodomy? What is sodomy? Unnatural, biblically speaking, is defined as unnatural sexual relations, especially sexual relations between men or between a man and an animal, right? This behavior is condemned in the scriptures, in the Hebrew scriptures, in the Bible, as an abomination, namely in Leviticus chapter 20:13. Why did Lot, right, call these sodomites, right? Let's scroll forward so you can see the verse right here. Actually, scroll up 7 to 9, right? In verses 7 to 9, he said, I pray you, brethren. Okay, there we go. I pray you, achim. I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Why did Lot call these sodomites my brothers, and go on to offer his two daughters, or what he believed? I have to say this: what he believed. They might have been, but they obviously knew a whole lot, you know. They was wearing the I am a virgin t-shirt, right? And in fine print, this is an old shirt, right? To offer his two quote virgin daughters to be abused in place of his two visitors in verses 7, right? In verses 7, right? 7, 8, and 9. Well, this here it reveals verses 7 to 9, right? He says, behold, now I have two daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out to you, right? And do y'all to them as good in your eyes. What? Say what? Only to these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof, my rafters. And then getting to verse 9, where he told him to stand back. This showed and revealed how far Lot had sunk. Right? He was in the sunken place. Lot in Sodom was in the sunken place. Remember Abraham was told to get out, get thee out, lek lekah. Right? Lot obviously didn't hear that, but he stayed in that place and he had sunk, the sunken place. He had sunk deep, right? Because of his association, his misassociation, because of his being unequally yoked. When I said be not unequally yoked, he was unequally yoked with the Sodomites, right? For Lot, right? For Lot, adultery and prostituting his own daughters, his two daughters, was not as serious an offense as failing to protect the strangers. In other words, his whole moral compass in this Sodom, in this place, had gotten confused, had gotten twisted. Can that happen? Well, of course it can happen. That's why it says, come out of her, my people. Because, you stay there too long, you might not, my people may not apply. You are not my people. Right there, there. Here, the question 37. Question 37. We're going to try to take this to 40 and then segue, right? Segue right here, right? Question 37. Right? Question 37. Let's make this a little right there. Question 37. Right? Why was it Mida Keneged Mida? Mida, like Mida Keneged Mida in Hebrew, means like measure for measure. Mida Keneged, right? Mida, like measure for measure, like for like, in a sense. Why was it Mida Keneged Mida, justice, tzedek, like for like, that the men of Sodom were struck with blindness when they tried to break down the door of the house? Why was it Mida for Mida, measure for measure, like for like? Because they were already blind in their own lusts. Their lusts, the desires had blinded them to the reality and to the danger that confronted them. And, when they saw the angels, they said, the messengers, these men, they saw, oh, these some new men come around here. You know what I mean? They didn't recognize, leave those men alone. You know what I mean? All they could see was their evil, their their rah desire. And this became the darkness, right? This became like to the darkness of the burial shroud, the darkness of the grave, the darkness of the pit. Question 38. How many daughters did Lot have? According to Genesis 19, verse 12 to 13. Now, some say the text says clearly two, right? The text says clearly two, right? Some reason that it could be two or four, right? Now, if Lot's sons-in-law referred to the men who were betrothed to his virgin daughters, it might have been two. Although in certain Yehudi, Jewish, Judaic tradition among the scholars studying the scripts, they actually state that there were four daughters. There were two who were married, and there was two who were betrothed. Right? Now, to get into more of that, we can reason on that, but just to share some of the basics right here so we can be well aware, Talmudim, Chabarim. Question number 39. Why did Lot's sons-in-law think Lot was joking? Lot was a joker. Oh, Lot, you just jested, man. You funny, right? When he warned them of the impending disaster to come upon Sodom in 1914 in Genesis chapter 19, verse 14. Well, either because Lot had lost all credibility, right? He lost all credibility in Sodom. Like we said earlier, it's almost like some people think they have to become a part of. Well, the system is evil, it's corrupt. The only way to change it is to join it. Okay, maybe in some situation, depends on how corrupt it is, right? But this is clearly the bad move and was a bad move, right? Because he had lost all credibility in Sodom, right? He was with them, sat at the gate, in the gate of the city. They knew who he was, but they also no doubt knew who Abraham was, right? Definitely they knew who Abraham was and said, this sucker, this fool, he's hanging out with us instead of with his righteous, you know, with his righteous, right? And or because they were fatalists. They were fatalists. Like today, a lot of people are fatalists. They do certain things. It's like when the scripture says that that they seek death, but death runs from them. They're seeking death, but death is running from them. They were fatalists who thought it was impossible to run away from Yahweh's judgment. And therefore, they mock the idea of fleeing from the wrath to come, as written in the scriptures. Fleeing from the wrath to come, for them, it's like, hey. So it's either or, like I said, that Lot didn't have no credibility. Lot, you telling us what? Yeah, whatever, Lot. You know what I mean? Or the fact that they were fatalists. They were fatalists who thought, well, whatever. Whatever, man. Whatever. Question number 40. Why did Lot hesitate? That's also there. Why did he hesitate? Right? Why did Lot hesitate when the day of judgment, the day, oh, what a day, when the day of judgment dawned? Because it appears that he hesitated, right? In the text, when we read these verses 15 to 16, let's just bring this up. We're going to try to seal up right here, 15 to 16. And when the morning arose, let's check the notes first. Are found and iniquity punishment. Okay. And when the morning arose, then Malakim hastened Lot. They hastened, hurry up, right? Saying, arise, take Ishtekah and thy two daughters that are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city, right? And while he lingered, there we go right there. While he did what? While he maha, 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 ha, 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 maha. While he questioned, maha, right? While he hesitated, maha. The implication is while he was reluctant. This often translates delay, linger, stay themselves, while he tarried. So why did Lot hesitate? Why do you think he hesitated? Well, firstly, Lot might have been worried about his two married daughters. So if it is true that the two, right, there was two married daughters and there was two unmarried daughters. If that is true, then it could be that he was worried about his two married daughters, right, who were not with him, right, and thought further about how to save them. Could be. Or secondarily, he might have been overly concerned with his material possessions. Check. Gotcha. Right? That's what I think it is. He might have been overly concerned with his material possessions, not knowing what to take and what to leave behind. Imagine that. Right? These angels, messengers come, that they are of Yahweh Elohim, and they're telling you it's time to go, time to go. He lingered, right? And while he lingered, like he probably looking around and saying, I'm going to go and leave all this. You know, the men did what? The what? What did it say? The men, right? It said the men, right? The men laid hold upon his hand. And then it says the men using the same word that he used for the Shalosh Anashim in the chapter before. Laid hold upon his hand and upon the hand of his daughters. I mean, the hand of his hand and upon the hand of his wife and upon the hand of his two daughters. And Yahweh being merciful. You see that word there? Being chemla. Here's the word chemla. It comes out in some of the prayers. Chemla. Chemla. Chemla is mercy, pity, compassion. Chemla. Commiseration. Something interesting when His Majesty, and I think is it aboard the Canada Royal train, or is it I think it's the Lutheran interview, right? With Oswald Hoffman. And he says that how God commiserates, you know, with us in our suffering. Like He has mercy, commiserates, right? Commiserate literally like is like to share the misery, right? To share the misery, commiserate. Hamal. Hamal is to spare, to pity, to have compassion on, to commiserate. So Yahweh being, right, the commiserate, right, one who's merciful to him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city, right, without the city. So I know we said we're gonna pause on that right there, on that one right there, that question right there. Yeah, because the next section is like, okay, now they're escaping the city. Hopefully pick up on the 41st. Why was Lot and his family spared from the destruction? Why did Lot say he could not escape to the hills? Lot seems to be very indecisive. He said, can I go to this little city, Zoar? It's a small one. Then the Malakim said, all right, you can go. Right, and they waited for him to get there. Then he got there, must have looked around and said, nah, I'll go to the mountain. They told him to go to the mountain. He wanted to go to the little city. He went to the little city, let him go to the little city. After he went to the little city, then he was there, looked around, and then he wanted to go to the mountain. And that's where he ended up in the cave. Right? Also, how did Yahweh Elohim destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? That there got to pick up on that, because it says that, you know, almost like from above, Yahweh, right? Yahweh from above and from below, he destroyed the city. But we'll get into that detail. What happened to Lot's wife, right? And some question of why do we think that happened? Why did she look back, right? One more look, you know. What did Abraham do after he realized that Sodom was destroyed? And also, why did Lot's daughters, why did they scheme to become impregnated by their father? You know, we can ask some sub questions to that, like, well, how did they even, you know, like, where did they get the wine? Where did they get the wine for the scheme? Remember, they said, let's give him wine. Let's give Avinu. You know, Avinu, our father, Avinu. Let's give him some wine. You sleep with him today, and tomorrow I do it. All right. Where did they get this idea from? Right? What were the names of the two children born to Lot? Right? And his daughters, right? And then pick up more on the previous Torah reading and feeding, right? And also right here for some continuity purpose. But here, the day, that day came for Lot and his family, that day of judgment. Capleton X, reggae, that day.
Yeah, I would have said give thanks. You don't know reggae.fr. You know, the something go for the blessing, for the defending of the reggae music since 25 years. Don't know reggae 24/7, the best music, enough respect, Sasha and the whole crew. You know the thing of the King of Fire. Reggae.fr. What am I chat about? King of Fire. Hurry them up. Equal rights and justice for all, rise and never fall. Boom. So what they gonna do? Well, not for them not true. Them this reggae FR and get slew, yeah. Who do you think you are? We're living in a small world. Small world. As wicked as you think you are, we're living in a small world. Small world. Bad as you think you are, we're living in a small world. As you think you are, we're living in a reggae that far high. That day will come when I shall stand and see those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape, and there will be nowhere to run. That day will come when I shall see them handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That day will come when Emperor Selassie shall rise the whole of the reggae FIU them from the slum, yeah. And that day I would love to see their face for all those who related to the human race and try to take things out of place, run away to space, through them in a ace. Wow. If you want a judgment, you want to get a taste. When them find out say that them can't escape, sadness they send and the people them chase. Smile on my face, that day will come when I shall stand and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape, when there will be nowhere to run. That day will come when I shall see they handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That day will come when Emperor Selassie shall rise the whole of the reggae FIU them from the slum. Can't escape today, can't escape tomorrow. Make sure you pay back anytime you borrow. Make sure you don't left no life in a sorrow. Make sure you're lean and straight like arrow. Make sure your brains don't push out in a barrow. Make sure you don't make them walk out and barrow. Yeah, make sure your meditation is narrow. Reggae that FR, alright then, take it up. I will remain the same, in Rastafari name. I watch them going up in flames. For all those innocent going down the drain, you have to pay for these shackles and chains, and pay for these washing of the brain, and pay for these guns and cocaine, the sick and the lame. Oh, that day will come when I shall stand and see all those wicked men in the fire getting burned. That day will come when they will try to escape, and there will be nowhere to run. That day will come when I shall see they handing over bombs and bayonets and bullets and guns. That day will come when Emperor Selassie shall rise the whole of the reggae. They find them from the slum. Keep it burning, in a fire, young cool. Reggae that is far, coming from so far. Oh, over 25 years. Reggae music, defending the music, we never yet refuse it. I know we not gonna lose it, we not gonna confuse it. Reggae that is far when we conclude it. Bless up.
Yes, yes, yes. That day. So here. Psalm for this day right here. 133. Look over Talawa. Got 3 verses right here. Today's daily psalm. Psalm 133. Psalm 133. Mizmor Kof Lamed Gimel. Hebraically. Now here, this is the K&D notes right here. Just want to share this right here. This little highlight right here. This part right here. That quote. And here, Dawid, in this psalm, David is said to brings to the consciousness of the church, the kahal, the assembly, church in the wilderness, the assembly, the called out, the mikra kodesh, the glory of the fellowship of the saints that had so long been wanting in the sense of lacking, that had so long been lacking. The restoration of that had begun with the setting up of the ark in Zion, and we say even in the African Zion, right? Zion. So here, today's daily psalm. So first things first, would like the item to just hear the read, right? Both of the Hebrew, right? The Hebrew of today's daily psalm, which is themed the blessing, baraka, blessing of unification. And I may say blessing of unification, right? This beautiful short poem is on the theme of brotherly relationship. And it's regarded by several of the ancient and even some of the modern commentators as alluding, right, and pointing to the effect of unification, unification, oneness produced on the pilgrims by their common act of worship. So what we have here, we have an ascension psalm, a psalm of degrees, Shir ha ma'alot le Dawid. Shir, a song, the song, Shir, a song, right? Ha ma'alot, of the ma'alot here, ma'ala in the singular, what comes up, thoughts, right? Ma'ala, Allah, Allah, like the Allah to go up, to ascend, the aliyah, the going up. Here we have ma'ala. What is a ma'ala? Ma'ala is to say like ma, what, Allah. Ma in Hebrew means like what, and Allah, Allah to ascend. What comes up? Ma'ala, right? The thoughts that come up, step, steers, right? Also the sense of ascent. KJV says degrees, but we also interpret this as a song of ascents, a song of degrees. Here to the song of degrees, right? The shir ha ma'alot, plural sense of degrees, points to the trinity of the great pilgrim festivals of the three shalosh, right? Shalosh, right? Regalim, right? The shalosh regalim, the three pilgrim festivals, because we have Psalm 100 and the 15 Psalms, beginning with Psalm 120, 120 to 134. So that 15 Psalms that are themed songs of degrees or song of degrees, 15 of them, song of ascents, right? And there's 15 of them, namely Psalms 120 to Psalm 134, and they are usually connected with the three great pilgrim feast festivals, the 3 times in the year where all the males of Yisrael are to present themselves in the place that Yahweh Eloheinu has set, the Hashem has set Shemo, has set his name, right? So we get Ma'ala. Ma'ala is an elevation. In the title, it's Ma'alot, Ha Ma'alot, the elevations. Literally a journey, right? What is an elevation, an ascent, a degree? As in Shir Ha Ma'alot, right? Song of degrees, song of ascent. It's a journey to a higher place. Figuratively, in the figure of speech, literally, it's like when they would trod, and they would trod to Jerusalem, and they'll make that trod to Zion, to Zion, and keep trotting to the Mount Moriah a little higher up, right, to worship, right? So figuratively, it's a thought arising. Uh, um, the condition of ma'ala is like a step or a grade. So ma'ala can be like a grade, like a rank, right? Ma'ala, right? Figuratively, like a superiority of station, of heights, right? Also the progression, ma'ala, like going up, going up, going up, going up, higher, higher, higher. Things that come up, degree, stairs, steps, and also like stories, the sense of like the building stories, right? Heights, right? So here we have this beautiful short composition, Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Abba, Ga, right? We have these 3 verses, the Aleph, Beit, Gimel, on the theme of brotherly relationship, right? And pointing to the unification and the effect. What is the effect? Not just unification, but what is the effect of einity, of unity, of unification that's produced on the pilgrims by their common act of worship, even the common act of trotting. We all making that pilgrimage, and we see one another on the road, and one's chanting the psalms, right? The pilgrim psalms, and that unity. This is also part of that common act of worship. Now, others, some say with more probability, they hold that its purpose, the purpose of Mizmor Kof Lamed Gimel, Psalm 133, was to support Nehemiah or Nehemiah's endeavor, Remember, after the southern kingdom, the tribe of Judah, the Yehudi, the Judeans were taken captive into Babylon for 70 years. After 70 years, there was a repatriation, a return, right? This is what we have Ezra and Nehemiah, right? And here, this is said to be a psalm to support Nehemiah's endeavor. His endeavor was to increase the sparse population of Jerusalem, of Jerusalem. So even though the tribe of Judah, right, was taken into captivity, right, it was taken into captivity, and then after 70 years, when Chayei Cyrus, right, had given that permission, Isaiah prophesied of Cyrus to be a Moshiach among the Gentiles, to be a Messiah, Yahweh's Messiah, because he's going to do Yahweh's will, and to release the Judahites. So the Judahites were released after 70 years, but only a small portion of them repatriated. Others preferred to stay out in Babylon. Sound familiar? They preferred to stay in Babylon, right? So the ones that did return, like in the book of Ezra, in the book of Nehemiah. So Nehemiah was seeking to increase the sparse population of Jerusalem, of Jerusalem. There's only like a few ones who had returned. It's like, we have our own land. Boom, our land is there, and only a few might have the faith to go. Others say, well, we're going to stay back over here because things are better for us in Babylon. It's interesting when the Yehudi, the Jews, even we, the black Jews, the tribe of Judah, first went into the Babylonian captivity, they cried. They crying. How should we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And they're just so wicked over here. And then after 70 years, I guess things improved, but this is when Yahweh gave the green light for the return, right, of the southern kingdom, the tribe of Judah. But there was a problem that the population was too sparse, was too small. They needed more people. The need for people, right? As His Majesty says that the most vital resource of any nation, right, is its people. So in Nehemiah chapter 11, verse 1 is a connection with another possible theme of today's daily Psalm 133. Brethren are to dwell together as brethren should do. A strong and united metropolis, at once the really just, and also the political center of the country, of the people, will concentrate and invigorate the whole nation and spread baraka, blessing, empowerment to prosper throughout the body of that. It, speaking of Jerusalem and this center here, is the head. So basically, at this point in time, the 10 tribes, the 9 to 10 tribes of the northern kingdom have already been taken away, at least more than 100, almost 200 something years. Now, the Judahites go into captivity, but thank hallelujah, it wasn't like the 10 tribes, 9 to 10 tribes. There was a return after 70 years. But the bad thing was that only a few ones sought to return. So there was only like a few population. There was a lot of ones were still living out in Babylon, right? Living out in foreign, right? So therefore, this psalm is bringing out the essence of, yes, brethren are to dwell together as brethren should do, but to the point of a strong and united metropolis. So Jerusalem, right, is like the center, right? Jerusalem within the territory of Yehuda and the tribe and people, the tribe of Judah people, right? It's the religious, the really just center, and it's also the political center. David even helped to make that so. Right? Well, Yahweh, of course, all praise be to Yahweh Eloheinu, because he made that covenant promise to David, right? And to his seed, right? So we already get that rulership, the monarchy of David, right? The Davidic monarchy, right? And the throne. And then David brings the ark, the Aron Habrit, to Zion. So Zion, right? Zion becomes one, the political, right, in the sense of the geopolitics of the time, center for the people, right, of Israel, the Davidic covenant, right, in Zion. And then with Dawid bringing the ark of the covenant there to Zion, this is the further connection right there with the significance of Zion. So Zion both signifies the Davidic covenant, right? David had a son named Solomon. Solomon had a son named David who renewed the kingdom, right? In the tops of the mountains, that biblical land, prophetic land known as Cush or Ethiopia. This is why Psalm 87, verse 4 says, with Ethiopia, with Cush, right? Im Kush Zeyulad Sham. This was born there. So Zion has a twofold significance as one, both the spiritual or really just center and the geopolitical center, right? And this is why the King of Kings of Ethiopia upon the throne of David also is the King of Israel. And it always has been so, especially post 70 AD time. But that's another reason right there. Let's get into this psalm right here. But first up, just to hear the verse by verse right here of these three verses, the Hebrew that we're going to unpack. Shema Yisrael.
Psalm 133.
מזמור קל"ג, שיר המעלות לדוד, 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 לדוד.
Behold how good and how pleasant it is, how pleasant it is, how pleasant it is, how pleasant it is, how
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים ומה נעים ומה נעים ומה נעים ומה
for brethren to dwell together in unity, together in unity, together in unity, together in unity.
שבת אחים גם יחד, 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 יחד.
It is like the precious ointment upon the head, upon the head, upon the head, upon the head.
כשמן הטוב על הראש, על הראש, על הראש, על הראש, על הראש, על הראש.
That ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, Aaron's beard, even Aaron's beard, even Aaron's beard.
יורד על הזקן, זקן אהרון, 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 אהרון.
That went down to the skirts of his garment, skirts of his garment, skirts of his garment, skirts of his garment.
שיורד על פי מידותיו, 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 מידותיו.
As the dew of Hermon, Hermon, Hermon.
כטל חרמון שיורד, 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 שיורד.
And as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, mountains of Zion, mountains of Zion, mountains of Zion.
על הררי ציון, 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 ציון.
For there the Lord commanded the blessing, the blessing, the blessing.
כי שם ציווה אדוני את הברכה, ברכה, 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 ברכה. חיים עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם.
Even life forevermore, 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 forevermore.
Yes. Am I being heard right here? Yes. I'm trying to get this tune here. It's a Rhema tune for this psalm right here. It's the Abyssinians. Just point it out in case we're not able to get it. It's the Abyssinians, and it is the Tena Yistalin. I don't know if the item know the Tena Yistalin tune right here. The Abyssinians. We use it on the dub right here. Since our board went out, we are not able to access it there. But now I'm looking up. I'm only seeing Abyssinian cat. Oh, man. I'm only seeing Abyssinian cat. Okay, the Tena Yistalin. Okay, how am I spelling Abyssinians? Okay, going to get into the verse by verse just for a moment, but I just wanted to bring up that tune as a kind of an outro, right? A lot of Abyssinian. I didn't see so many Abyssinian cat tunes. I mean, Abyssinian cat kind of links right there. Very unique cat, very, very unique. That's the ancient Egyptian kind of cat, that elegant looking cat right there. Okay, hold on for one moment right here. Just, it's not coming up on the search. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Tena Yistalin Wendame. It's a 1975 mega dub right here. Just want to copy this and to have this on the side right here, just to play as a kind of an outro right here, because it does brings out very good the theme of today's daily psalm And so here, Aleph Beit Gimel verses 1, 2, 3. Aleph. So here we have the first verse here. Let's break it down. The compare, contrast scripture. So here we have Mizmor, Kof, Lamed, Gimel. Kof for 100, Lamed for 30, and Gimel, some might say Gamel, for 3. So 1, 3, 3. Psalm C, X, 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 I. So here, we have the Aleph verse. And here the theme, right, to the theme of today's daily psalm, the baraka, the blessing, the baraka, the empowerment to prosper, the baraka, right, the blessing of unification. Let's call it the blessing of einity, right, the blessing of einity. In fact, let me just do this right here. So this psalm will stay in the suitcase when the psalm comes up, this song right here. Just mark it Psalm 133. Okay, so here. Okay, here we go. We just downloaded, we got it. All right, so here, first verse, the Aleph verse. A song of degrees of David. Behold, how good and how pleasant for brethren to dwell together in unity. It's a very interesting. Harry Belafonte does a Hine Matov tune right here, based on this psalm right here. Check it out for yourself. So together, even together. Okay, here, let's bring out the Hebrew, the Ivrit. Shir ha ma'alot lidawit. Shir, a song of, song ha ma'alot of degrees, of ascents, of going up. Shir ha-ma'alota lid-Dawid, of David, of David. Hine matov uma naim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov uma naim, shevet achim gam yachad. Verse right here. Hine, look and see. Look and see. Hine, look and see. Here it is. Let's go down here to show you where it is right here. Hine. So here we have Hine. You see, Hine. Hine matov. Hine. Look, see, behold. Look, here it is. Hine matov. Ma. Behold, ma, here we have ma, my H40 100 ma, my what, how, has a sense of what. So literally it's behold or look, see, here it is, what good. Here it is, what good. But it's brought out, within the translation, the spirit of the Hebrew, hine mato, behold, how good, or what good, right? Hine mato, ma, and ma again, and what, ma, right, what, right, naim. What's naim means to be pleasant, delightful. I think there's a product that people use, naim. Yeah, naim. That's where it's linked with this word right here, naim. Right, pleasant, delightful, beautiful, sweet. Bringing it down here, delightful, naim, right? From naim. The root sense is naim, the verb naim. Naim is to be pleasant, to be sweet, to be lovely. But the key idea of the root, right, in uma, right, uma naim, is how agreeable, how good, how beneficial. So when we get to tov, right, tov right there, right, tov, how good, how pleasant, how agreeable, right? So it has to do with the sense of agreeability. How good, how tov, how fine, how beneficial. So it says good, we say good, but good has layers in the Hebrew. Yes, the word tov means good, but contextually, right, tov, to be good, to be pleasant, to be agreeable, to be fine, to be beneficial, to be making for social happiness. It makes for social happiness, right, in our community, right, in our society, as well as national vitality. right? National, it's pleasant. You see, to the higher nature, it's good. Tob, right? Tob. Hine ma tob uman naim. Hine ma tob uman naim. Right? How good, how rich. This is valuable. Uman naim. Right? Uman naim. And how pleasant it is, right? And how pleasant, right? For what? How pleasant uman naim shebeta achim gam yachad. How pleasant for achim. So here we have ach, word for brother, not ak. Some say ak, but the Afro-Semitic, the biblical Hebrew is ach. Here for brothers is achim, achim, right? Shebet. Now the Hebrew is a little different. It says shebet from yashab, shebet, to dwell, to be seated up. So to bring this out in translation for brethren to dwell together, but the Hebrew is like when the Rastaman say for I and I to be seated up together. You see, Yashab, we have Shevet, right? Yashab, to be seated up, right? To sit down, right? To dwell, to be seated up, to sit down, right? To dwell, to settle, to dwell, to be seated up, right? It says Gam, also Yahad. So in the Hebrew, it says Gam Yachad. Gam Yachad. Notice together is Yachad, and then unity is Yachad. But in the Hebrew, right, we only have one Yachad there, right? So sometimes the translator is trying to bring out a more palatable way for people to understand. But what it's saying, and how pleasant, right, or sweet, pleasant, agreeable, Uman Naim, Shebet, seated up, the seating of Achim, the seating of brethren. So Shevet Achim. Here we go. Shevet Achim. This phrase right here. Shevet Achim. Right? Dwell together in unity. Right? Dwell together in unity. This literally is the dwelling, Shevet of Achim. Achim. Of brethren, of Achim. Right? Of brethren. Right? In unity. Gam, also Yahad. So this part, Gam, means also Yahad, also together, right? So it's like saying two ideas that, and how pleasant is the dwelling of brethren also together, or how pleasant it is the dwelling of brothers, right? Right? Also together, also together. This is the sense. So the dwelling together of brethren, and also the Yachad right here, Yachad brings out the sense of unity. Yachad, union, unitedness, but also in the Hebrew, in the adverbial sense, together, all together as a unit. A unit is a Yachad, unitedly, Yachad, also unitedly. So not just us sitting together, the Shevet Achim, right? The dwelling or the seating of Achim, brothers together, but Gam, also Yachad, also being united, right? Like in that sense of in that oneness, Yachad, right? To join, to unite, to be joined, right? To be united, to become, right? The sense of to become one, right? To become one. So that oneness. What is advocated is not like so much just concord, like a blind, like we just all like clone, like we're in a cult or something. No. It's cohabitation, right? It's cohabitation. What's being brought out here, right? Shebet, Achim, Gam, Yachad. What's being brought out here is cohabitation, living together. The members, right? The Chabarim, the Achim, the members of the restored nation should not be scattered here and there and everywhere, but live together, right? Gam, Yachad, Gam, also Yachad, right? Together in unity, should live together as a compact body, Like even in the Brit Chadash, when it says that, well, we are members of the body, we are members and members of one another. This is the key essential sense that we have here in this Shir HaMa'alot LeDawit. Hine matov u'ma'naim shebet achim gam gam yachad. This here is the Aleph, right? This is the Aleph verse. This here is the first, right? This is the first verse, right? All right. Give thanks, give thanks. I got a note that was added to Hine Matov, right? And the I think the Harry Belafonte chant right there. It's interesting that other Yehudi have used even or asked for us, or basically utilize, let's put it like that, utilize we, once lost now found black and brown Beta Yisrael to chant uniquely Hebraic tunes. I wonder why that. But anyway, we know why, but let's go on, right? Let's reclaim what's ours. Here, the bite. Here's the second verse. That was the Aleph verse right here. Let's touch on the Hebrew first. Kashemen hatoba al harosha yoreda al hazakana zikana aharon she yoreda al pia mia dotaya al pi midotav al pi midotayo. Here the English, the KJV, like, still going on with the theme from the first verse, like the precious ointment on the head that ran down upon the beard, Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments. Now here in the second verse, the bait verse, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 phrases. So the verse is the verse, right? The perek is the perek, right? But we have at least 4 phrases, right? 4 phrases. Let's touch on this phrase by phrase. Kashemen hatov, kashemen, like the shemen, right? Like the shemen. The shemen is what? The fat. The shemen is the oil. Keep it fat, right? The olive oil, right? For anointing, the shemen. Also the fat of the land, the fruitfulness of the valley in a metaphorical sense, the shemen. You know how we say, yo, that's fat, We spell it P-H-A-T. But because we once lost, now found, what we're really saying is the shemen. We're using it in the shemen sense. The shemen, fatness, is the oil, the fatness, right? The oil. Also in a metaphorical sense, like if land is fruitful, right? Or valleys are fruitful, it's fat, right? In the figurative sense, it's the richness. Yo, that's fat. Yo, that's rich, right? But literally, that's the second of the two truths. But the first of the two truths, right? The natural, the basic type, it's the grease, it's the oil, especially the liquid, as from the olive, right? Often perfumed or could not be perfumed, but basically it's the oil. So here in the first part, let me just highlight this. This is the first, so you can see what we mean in the KJV. Reading it up to the comma or the other diacritical marking. So we have a comma right there after the H7218. Like ka, that's the Hebrew ka, like ka shemen, like the shemen hatob, ka shemen hatob. What is shemen hatob? Like the oil of the good. But the good here is translated as tob. Remember tob from the first verse? Remember Tob, where it says, Hine Matov, behold how good. Hine Matov, Umanaim, Shebet Achim, Gam Yachad, Hine Matov, behold what good, what preciousness, Hine Matov. So here we have the Shemen Hatov, the Shemen of the good Shemen, the precious oil, the precious fatness, richness, ointment upon the head. Kashemen hatob al harosh, all up on, upon all ha the rosh, upon the rosh. Rosh is head in Hebrew. Rosh Teferi, right? The Hebrew Rosh Teferi, the Ethiopic Amharic Ras Teferi, and Teferi related to the Tiferet. But here we have Rosh. Rosh is the head, right? Rosh is the head. Of interesting note, Rosh is the head speaking of male, and Reshith is the head speaking of feminine, as we have in the first word of the Hebrew scriptures, Be Reshith, in wisdom, Chokmah, the Reshith. Here, Kashemin Hatov al Harosh. It is like the precious oil upon the rosh. What is the precious oil? The shemen hatob, shemen hatob. It's the anointing oil, the mashacha, the anointing to make Mashiach, to make the anointed, right? The anointing oil was poured all rosh, all harosh, on the head, right, of the Kohen Gadol, of the Kohen, the priest, Ha Gadol, of the big priest, or in translation, they say high priest, although really the word for high is the big priest, the Kohen Ha Gadol, at his consecration. In Exodus chapter 29 and 7, where we get the first act of anointing in the Hebrew scriptures, right? So the first anointed is the high priest, and the first anointed ones, right, to say Christ or Christians in the Hebrew context, are the fellow priests. That there gives us a context and a template for the Brit Chadasha. That's why Hebrew says that Yeshua HaNotzri is our Kohen Gadol, because he is Yeshua HaNotzri, but he is Yeshua HaMashiach. So the precious ointment has to do with this anointing. So here's implying the anointing, right? The anointing oil being poured al harosh, Kohen Gadol, at his consecration, Exodus 29 and 7. And this would flow, let it flow, let it flow, let it flow down. This will flow down, right? From Harosh, from Rosho, from Rasu, from his head, right? Flow down where? It will flow down to his beard, right? Now that here brings us to the next phrase in the verse, the next phrase. So the verses have phrases to it, usually two, right? But sometime like here, four, or in some cases more. So here in the Hebrew, it says Yored, 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 Yored comes from Yarad. Yarad means he went down, he descended, to go down, to descend. Yored, that which descends. Yored, the descender, that which descends. Yored, 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 all upon Hazakan. Upon what? Hazakan. What is the Zakan? The Zakan is the beard. The Zakan is the beard, right? It's interesting. Hold on for a moment. It's interesting because we also have Zakain, like for elder, right? Because the elders usually the ones who had the beards, right? So the Zakan, so this is why vowels matter. Zakan is beard, Zakain is elder. Check Zakan, Zakain. Right? That's why it says Hawaria Paulos, Rabbi Shaul, he says that if the trumpet gives an uncertain sound, how do we know what to do? Right? If it's an uncertain sound. So Zakan is the beard, right? The beard of the chin. So here, this second phrase says that ran down upon the beard. In Hebrew, that's Yored, Yored, full enunciation, Yored al Hazakan, right? Coming down or descending up on the beard, right? And then we have this next short phrase right here, right? Where it says, even is not this italicized, so you drop that word. Aaron's beard, right? That ran down upon the beard, The sense is like even Aaron's beard in the Hebrew up here, the flow of the Hebrew here, Yored al Hazakana Zikan, Zikan, the beard of Zikan, the beard of Aharon, Zikan Aharon, Zikan Aharon, the beard of Aaron. So what do we have here in this second phrase, the second phrase in the second verse? Aaron's beard, Zikan Aharon. So the oil, that precious oil, right? That good oil upon the rosh, upon the head, Yorei descends al Hazakan upon the beard. Zikan Aharon, the beard of Aaron. You see, a lengthy beard was a mark of high dignity in the Kedem, in the east. Look to the Kedem, to the east, in the Orient, in the east, right? Again, a lengthy beard in the ancient Afro-Semitic, Asia, Africa, Afro-Asia, in the ancient East, right, was a mark of high dignity, right? Now, of course, the later day Romans and Greeks, they got women's faces, and they don't, and not the hair. They don't have the hair. But in the East, it's important to understand the context why it's emphasizing the beard, right? Al Hazakan, Zikan Aharon. Why is it emphasizing it? Because a lengthy beard was a mark of dignity, a mark of the elder, right? In the Kedem, in the Orient, in the East. It is said that Aharon's beard, right, was said to be so long. How long was it? Said to be so long that it covered, right, that it covered the upper hem, the upper hem, the upper hem of his vestment, of his garment, of his vestment. Right? Now, why is this important? Right? Because as we continue with the last part of the verse, that went down, it says, to the skirts of his garments, right? The skirts. Now, here's what's interesting. The word for skirt here is the peh, also pointed as fe. Fe, pe. Pe is the mouth of fe. Fee, my mouth. Fe is the mouth, the organ of speech, the mouth of animals, the mouth, the opening, the orifice, the extremity, the end could be the, but here it seems as though from the Hebrew, also it's a weight. The pe, the mouth or the pe is a weight equal to 1/3 of a shekel, right? Silver currency, and this occurs in 1 Samuel 13:21. But here's the mouth, right? But it can also be specifically the edge, right? The edge, the side. So now they use this term skirt, and we get used to the skirts of his garment, and we probably be thinking that, well, it's probably saying like the oil flowed all the way down to his beard, and then it kept flowing all the way down to the hem. It's not saying the hem. The hem. It's not saying the fringes. It's not talking about the fringes. And this is something I also thought too before studying the psalm, like, skirts of his garment. I think like, wow, if you put the oil on the head and then go down to his beard, wow, that's a whole lot of oil that keeps dripping all the way down to like his foot, like to the edge of. But because what we didn't understand at that time, it was talking about the upper hem of the vestment, the opening, where the head goes through. That that is what it's talking about when it's talking about the peh, the mouth. And like you put on a t-shirt, right? You put on a t-shirt, there's the bottom part of the shirt that goes around where your waist is, but then there's a part you put your head through. That part there is the mouth. That's the mouth right there. And that begins to make more sense contextually in translation. I was kind of trying to think like how could the oil go from the head to the beard? I get it. It must have been just pouring and pouring and pouring. And, we're not really wasteful in those things. But it's saying that because of the oil that was poured on his head, right, it went down, right, to the sides of his temple, to his beard, and then it went to the collar. So more correctly, what it should read is that went down to the collar, right? That cometh down upon the collar. Share your red. that which Yored, Yored all P upon the collar or the mouth, midotayo, right? To the of his mida. Now notice right here. Remember we saw in the question, the Q&A, mida, keneged mida. I was saying mida, like for like justice, right? Like Yahweh deal with the deuces, like for like, right? Like for like, deuces, mida, keneged mida. So here, mida, right? Midotayo is measure, right? Measure size. But here, in this sense, also, it's brought out as garment, right? As the word garment. So, mita, keneged mita, measure for measure, right? Measure for measure, a portion, right? Like a portion of something measured, mita, right? Keneged mita, right? Like, when they say quid, it's almost like, I won't say quid pro quo. No, it's a measurement, like for like, measure for measure. Hence, a portion as measured. But notice what it says right there, a vestment. A what? A vestment. A vestment, right? So the full of this verse right here, that went down not to the skirts, like to the foot of his garment. No. Because then that'd be kind of messy, right? You could have oil all over the place. No. But to the because it saturated his beard, even Aaron's beard, Sikan Aharon, right? And then the oil, the precious oil, right? The Shemen Hatov continue right to the skirts. I'm not the skirts, but the collar, So for the Habarim, update this word skirt here more better and more correctly according to the context of the Hebrew. It should be the upper hem of his vestment, the upper hem of his garment, or the upper hem of his vestment. And here the full of the Hebrew. Kashemin Hatov al Harosh, Yored al Hazakan, Zikan Aharon, She Yored al Pi Amidotayo. Here. Now, even this here, the Yored, She Yored. What just happened right there? Go back right there. The Yored. Even right here, this construction, it betrays a little bit of Aramaic, right? And later Hebrew, like a little seasoning. Because it's She Yored. Older Hebrew would be Asher Yored. Later Hebrew, right, is like She Yored. So even from that, it kind of pointed more to the time of Nehemiah, to the Hebrew that was spoken. In David's time, the Hebrew would have been more as Asher Yored. But in the later time, right, the time of Nehemiah, with a little bit of Aramaic seasoning to the biblical Hebrew, as Sheyored, that which descends al pi midotaya. And here, Aleph, Bait, Gimel, ABGs. For the ABGs, can't say ABCs if it's Abba Ga or Aleph Beit Gimel. We got to say ABGs, right? ABGs. That's an exclusive LOJ, right? As the dew, of Hermon that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there Yahweh commanded Habarakah, life forevermore. So right here to the Gimel, the third verse, full of verse first. K't'ala Hermona sheyored ala harere Sion, ki shama tziwa Yahweh etaha baraka chayim ad ha'olam. So right here, like. So notice how the verse before was like precious oil, right? Kashemen hatov. Here it is like the dew, right? Katal, like the tal, katal hermon, katal. What is a tal? Right? Not tal, but tal. Tal is the dew, the night mist, the tal. right? The dew as it covers vegetation, the tal of Hermon, 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 Hermon. I know we say Hermon, but in the Hebrew that'll be Hermon, Hermon. Hermon is a sanctuary, it's said to be a sanctuary. Hermon is the mountain on the northeastern border of the Levant and Lebanon, overlooking the border of Dan. Hermon. But let's go over here. Hermon comes from the Hebrew, that's a noun, coming from the Hebrew haram, haram. You know when they say something is haram, haram, right? Haram. And you heard of the place that some Eastern rulers would have a bunch of women. They call it the harem, the harem, harem. What does this mean? This means to ban, to devote, to destroy utterly. It's an interesting sense of it. Basically, what the word haram means, in order to understand what Hermon is, right? Because remember, Hermon has a lot to do with the land. And briefly, the book of Enoch, Hanok. In the book of Enoch, it says when these either angels, fallen angels, they had made a like they bound each other up with how can we say under the harem, under harem. Harem is like what's we're talking about right here. I would say it's a curse, but it's like kind of a ban that can have a consequence that could be considered a curse. It's like a prohibit, right, for common use. For example, when the Israelites went into the land and all of the victories, the first victories were given to the Levites, the spoils of the victory. So that means that everything, like with Jericho and some other places, was haram to the rank and file Israelites. In other battles, they could divvy up some of the spoils. But in the first case, it's like the first battle was like a tithe to the Levites, right? Therefore, it said that everything was haram. So you get an incident of Joshua, Yehoshua, right, the captain, right, of the Israelite armies, and there was a boy named Akan. Akan. He had stole something that was haram, right? That was under the haram, that was prohibited, right, for common use, right? So there was a ban on it, but it was devoted to the priest or devoted to someone. So it's like something that is prohibited for this one is really set apart for that one for their use, consecrated. But this is what it also means to be devoted to destruction. Some of the things in the spoil, right, could be destroyed by the Levites, but the Israelites just need to conquer it. The rank and file Israelites back up and let the priests sort it, right? So sometimes that which is haram is dedicated to destruction. It is said in Enoch that the fallen angels or the angels had put each other under a haram, a harem, and thus some say that the mountain was called, right? The mountain was called Hermon. Like Hermon has, I think, a trinity of peaks, if I'm correct. Hermon, these mountains, like a trinity of mountains. And according to Enoch and some of the older scripts, this is where the fallen angels, when they came down, they put each other under the harem, right? Put them under this ban, this devotion, right? In other words, this is devoted for this use. If you don't do it, then you could suffer destruction, right? To seclude, right? To seclude also. That's how we get this idea of harem. Just thought I'd bring that out because it's significant that it mentions this mountain, Hermon, right? Now, Hermon is noted for the abundance of dew. This is what's important about it as well, that the Mount Hermon in ancient times was noted for the abundance of dew, the abundance of tal that fall on its slopes. This dew, it gives fertility to the soil. And similarly, there is the idea that the psalm, today's psalm, Psalm 133, Mizmor Kof Lamed Gimel, it extols, it bigs up, because this will help to invigorate, right? To invigorate the people, right? So saying, as the dew of Hermon, right? That, but notice what it says, that descend, So the idea is that comes down upon the mountains of Zion, or the Harare. So mountains of Zion is called Harare. Harar, remember where the man-child LIVEStreaming was born in Harar? Here in the Hebrew we have Harare. Harare is this phrase right here where it says K'tal Hermon. Here we go. She Yored al Harare, all upon Harare, the mountains of Sion, that descend upon the mountains of Zion. Now, think about this for a moment. If you understand the geology and the geography and stuff like that, you'll be like, wait, but Hermon is over there. The Trinity Peaks, Hermon, right, are over there. And Zion is over there. How in the world does the Tal, right, the dew of Hermon, right, descend all the way over there? So the poet, right, the author here attributed to Dawid didn't and cannot intend, right, literally that the dew, the Tal of Hermon, actually flows and descends as far as the hills upon which Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, was situated, about 200 miles distant. But notice the language. K Tal Hermon. Like. It's like. What it be like? Or it be like Katal Hermon. It be like the dew of Hermon, Sheyored al Hararea Sion, that descends upon Mount. So it's not a literal thing, a thing there. Check. So the dew of Hermon, the Tal of Hermon, is a phrase Hebraically. It's a Hebrew idiom that denotes exceeding heavy dew, heavy dew, heavy duty, heavy dew, right? And as such, moisture proves, the moisture proves beneficial to what? To vegetation on the slopes of those hills. And in a like manner, brethren, together in unity, so will the dwelling together of Ha-Yehudim, of the Judeans, of the Judahites, of the tribe of Judah, will be of great benefit to them, and to also scattered Yisrael, to the scattered tribes of Yisrael. So it says, Ki Sham Siwa Yahweh. So then going on right here, it says Ki, right? Ki Sham Siwa Yahweh. Let's get that part. Let's scroll up here. There we go, right there. No, there we go. These words highlighted. Ki for Sham, for there. Ki Sham Siwa Yahweh. Ki Sham Siva Yahovah. Ki Sham Siva Yahovah. Some would say, we say, Ki Sham Siwa Yahweh. Right? So let's see, does it have there? Does it have there? Does it give us there? Nah, they don't give us there. We have to go down here to show you there. So the Sham, what is Sham? Shama, Sham, Bula, Bula, Ia, O. Here, Sham. That's an old DJ lyric right there. Shama, Sham, Bula, Bula, Ia, O. Anyway, Sham right here, Sham. Here love Asha Sanita, Asha Senator and the posse, UK posse there. But Sham means there. Sham means there. So some even build from this understanding of the Hebrew Sham when we call the heavens Shamayim. Shamayim. Breaking down two words, Sham, there is, right? There is Mayim. There is waters. Shamayim. Just wanted to bring that out there because next to there, they don't have after there, they don't put in the word. They don't put in the blue, right? But here, Kisham, for or because there, Siwa, Siva, Yahovah, Siwa Yahuwah, right? Siva Yahovah, for there he who he be commanded, he charged, he gave a command there. Where is there? Well, there in Jerusalem and in Zion. Zion and Jerusalem is like close. It's like the same hood, right? Technically, Jerusalem is built on the mountains of Zion. So Zion, in a sense, is like right there as you go up in the pilgrimage and ascent. For there, Yahweh commanded. What did he command? Et ha baraka. As we go on right here, he commanded next two words, right? Kisham siwa Yahweh et ha baraka. Et ha baraka. For there he commanded the baraka. Here we go right here, the baraka, the blessing, right? The prosperity, the blessing, right? The empowerment to be blessed, right? And what is that blessing, right? When we say life is the essential thing, like we say, like health is the most vital wealth. Having life and having good health is to have the most vital wealth. Because of good health, you know what I mean? And everything else, like, health wise good, all other things are, possible. So here it says, for there, Yahweh commanded the baraka, the bracha, right? Life forevermore. Kisham siwa Yahweh et habaraka chayim ad ha-olam. Chayim, life or lives, chayim, ad, going on, ha-olam, going on till time indefinite, the sense of evermore, ha-olam, going on till time indefinite. Just for ones who didn't get the olam, the ha-olam lesson, right? Olam can be ancient time, long past. Olam can be future. They translate as forever, always. But to break it down to its root, right, it means that which to the vanishing point. Generally, time out of mind till time indefinite, whether it's past time or it's future time. Practically interpreted to eternity or to time indefinite. Kishama siwa Yahweh et habaraka chayim ad ha-olam. Life. Life to who? Life to the Beit Yisrael. Life to the house of Israel. Life to the Bnei Yisrael. Life to Yahweh's people. Right? There he commanded the baraka. See, that baraka they command is like salvation. If you say, is there salvation to the Gentiles of the nations? Well, firstly and foremostly, it's to Yisrael. Right? And it says, for you will be a blessing. And then through, right, Yisrael, right? That was Yahweh's commandment, his intent. Go read the Torah and the scripture. For there Yahweh commanded ha baraka, life, right? The blessing being in principle life. To be connected, right? Forevermore, to be connected with commanded. In Zion, in Zion, is his eternal dwelling place. And from that center, so the idea is from that center, Berkato, his baraka, his blessing will always radiate. His baraka will always emanate. But Fireburn, the satanic emanation philosophy, but emanation is just a word in science, to radiate. Let's use the word radiate, right? Would radiate far and near. So right here, brothers and sisters and brothers, today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, after order of Malachiah Tzedek. Give thanks for the upload right there. Here, let's first share the dubwise right here. Let's see, is this the one right here? That's the aggravators, behold, right there. Let's bring out this one right here. This is the Tenayistalin, Abyssinians. Tenayistalin, Wendame. In them hard, Tenayistalin, Wendame. They're saying Shalom. Shalom, Chabarim. Shalom, Achi. Shalom, my brother. May Yahuwah give you health, my brother, right? And my brothers and sisters. Here. Uh,
Psalm 133.
מזמור קל"ג, שיר המעלות לדוד. לדוד, 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 לדוד.
Behold how good and how pleasant it is, how pleasant it is, how pleasant it is, how pleasant it is, how pleasant it is.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים ומה נעים ומה נעים ומה נעים.
For brethren to dwell together in unity, together in unity, together in unity, together in unity.
שבט אחים גם יחד, 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 יחד.
It is like the precious ointment upon the head, on the head, on the head, on the head.
כשמן הטוב על הראש, על הראש, על הראש, על הראש, על הראש, על הראש.
That ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, Aaron's, even Aaron's, even Aaron's, even Aaron's.
יורד על הזקן, זקן אהרון, 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 אהרון.
That went down to the skirts of his garment, skirts of his garment, skirts of his garment, skirts of his garment.
שיורד על פי מידותיו, 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 מידותיו.
As the dew of Hermon, Hermon, Hermon.
כטל חרמון שיורד, 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 שיורד.
And as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, mountains of Zion, mountains of Zion, mountains of Zion.
על הררי ציון, 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 ציון.
For there the Lord commanded the blessing, with the blessing, with the blessing.
כי שם ציווה אדוני את הברכה, ברכה, 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 ברכה. חיים עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם, עד העולם.
Even life forevermore, 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 Psalm 133.
מזמור קל"ג, שיר המעלות לדוד. לדוד, 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 לדוד,
Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore, 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 forevermore,
Yes, yes, yes. Do a mitzvah right here, here, here. I'd like to share Harry Belafonte tune. Give thanks, give thanks. Hopefully we get no trouble on this right here. You know, do a mitzvah right here. Harry Belafonte, the Hine Matov. Just to hear his chanting has become a popular, way of chanting it. And yeah, but here. Yah bless the soul, of him, hopefully you get a good judgment by Shem Yeshua. But here, Harry Belafonte, Hine Matov. Okay.
Hine Matov Manahayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. הנה מה טוב ומנהיים שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה החיים, שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב וחומן החיים, שבט אחים גם יחד. מה טוב ומן החיים, שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומן החיים, שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומן החיים, שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 יה לה לה לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. 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 שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד. שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומן החיים, שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומן החיים, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומן החיים, הנה מה טוב ומן החיים. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבט אחים גם יחד. שבט אחים גם יחד.
Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Belafonte. Hi, Belafonte. That was 1959. Right there. Very interesting, black chanters or cantors being used to kind of set the music, music. That's the whole reason right there. But here, this Torah reading and feeding. Yeah, Chayei Sarah, more on this Torah reading and feeding. I, Sarah, matriarch, Tege Menin, I, Abraham, Abino, Malkeinu, Kedamawi, Haile Selassie. But right here, this is the outro right here. The Abyssinians, Tena Yistalin. Tena, Yistalin in them heart. Tena means health. Yistalin is like, may he give. It brings out the sense of shalom. From the biblical Hebrew, shalom also means health, well-being, right? So we might greet one another, shalom, right? Shalom achi, shalom achoti, right? In them heart, tenayastalin, may health, may Yahuwah Xavier give you health on I behalf. So here, the tenayastalin, Wendame, here on the outro. Laila Tov, Chabarim, Talmudim, and have a Boker Tov and a good Shavua Tov. Here. Still in this 5th sabbatical study, Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah. Here we apply this to the words of Abino Malkeinu Kedama Haile Selassie, where he said concerning I, Queen Mother, Matriarch, Itege Menin. But we'll pick up on more of that right there. Hine Matob Umanaim Shebet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matob, behold.
Christ is come again. He's come to judge the world. Who sits upon King David's throne? The King of Kings is he. The King of Kings is he. The King of Kings is he. He's come to judge the world in righteousness and truth. So all ye ever laden, come lay your burden down. He's come to judge the world. Believers, righteousness and truth. Oh yes, so all ye ever laden, come lay your burden down. Can I just learn one man? You must go on again. Can I just learn one man? You must go on again. You must go on again. Weep not, my brethren, the Lion of the Vale, to open the book and loose the seals, and rule in righteousness, and rule in righteousness, and rule in righteousness. He's come to judge the world in righteousness and truth. So all ye ever laden, come lay your burden down. He's come to judge the world. Believers, righteousness and truth. Oh yes, so all ye ever laden, come lay your burden down. Weep not, my brethren, the Lion of the Vale, to open the book and loose the seals, and rule in righteousness, and rule in righteousness, and rule in righteousness. You must come again, and rule in righteousness.
Lila to.
Can I just learn on the man? You must go on again. Can I just learn on the man?
Rule in righteousness.
Lila Tov, Boker Tov, good night, have a good morning, good dawning, Bashem Yeshua, good day, blessed day. Hopefully we join up on the air and the irid again. Shalom, Chaverim, Shalom, Bashem Yeshua, glory be the King. Amen.